I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. The ability for us to celebrate the 4th of July is one of the greatest times of the year. I love this week. I spent my entire life on the water. I did. I mean, I loved weeks like this because it was food, fireworks, family, all good, man. And as I said yesterday, we're right around the corner from the start of the NFL season. We are 3 weeks out from today, from the start of the National Football League's beginning of their journey of 7 months. If you're fortunate enough, you get to that 7th month, known as Super Bowl. Appreciate all of you. As the holidays are here, one of the most traveled weeks of the year, we appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Please hit the like button. All super chats go to the top. We thank you so much. Can't thank you enough, actually, for you guys being here. Oh, by the way, does anybody know the significance of today? It's one of the great days in sports. Do you guys know what it is? Help me out here. It's one of the great days in sports. It's one of the coolest days, I should say, in all of sports. Do you know what it is? You guys have an idea? There you go, Lamar. It is Bobby Bonilla Day. This is one of the greatest contracts in the history of American sports. Bobby Bonilla played his last Major League Baseball game in 1999. Okay? He took a deferred payment, and it was at 8%. And you want to hear something? Every July 1st, the Mets pay Bobby Bonilla $1.1 million. And they will do that until he's 72 years of age. Now, smartest move I've ever seen. This is what I love contracts like this. Iverson's got like a lifetime contract with Adidas. They pay him like $800,000 a year for the rest of his life. And when he turns 55, I think it is, he gets $30 million from Adidas from an annuity that he had. That's also one of the great deals. But it's Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. What a great stroke of genius. This guy is getting $1.1 million from the New York Mets every year until he's 72. I think he's 60 now. This guy's got 12 more years of this. Reebok. Thank you very much, Mark. That's right, Reebok. Hit the like button. We appreciate all of you here on this 4th of July week. We thank you so much. As we said, we are 21 days out from the start of the National Football League season. We got a boatload of topics to hit on here, too. Unbelievable. Just a boatload of topics. I want to start something out on a cool note concerning Jaylen Hurts. You know, I was listening to Nicole Lynn, his agent. She's on a podcast, I think, a couple days ago. And she was talking about Jaylen Hurts and the contract that he constructed with the Philadelphia Eagles and how important it was for him to make sure that there was always going to be money that was going to be delegated to players that they wanted to re-sign with restructuring. I thought it was pretty cool. Hurts knows the importance of having a great team around him. A lot of people don't. You think Dak gives a shit about whether the Cowboys have good players around him? His contract dictates that. Look, I'm not saying you don't get the most money and what your worth is. I'm not saying that. But in the NFL, if you want to win, there's got to be some small sacrifices. I'll tell you the best constructed contract of all the quarterbacks is clearly Patrick Mahomes' deal. Patrick Mahomes has a $465 million contract. And he's making like $45 or $48 million a year, something like that. But his payouts are more than any other quarterback in the league. And it's $500 million. Most of the contracts are $250 million. Mahomes is like, I'm going to get $500 million in salary alone. Awesome. And I do believe he fulfills that contract. Very few of those contracts end up coming to fruition where you see people run through the tape when it comes to finishing up those deals. This collusion case, and I want to make sure that I get this right here. I want to show you something here, and this is something that Hurts did for the Eagles. The Eagles are not going to be part of this thing, okay? They because of Jaylen. So check it out. Here was the ruling. And the recent ruling, the NFL, this is from the NFLPA. The recent ruling, the NFL was found to have encouraged teams to reduce guaranteed money in veteran contracts, but the arbitrator dismissed the collusion case against the NFL due to insignificant evidence on it. However, in the case, despite they did encourage that they found evidence that the commissioner's office and the NFL Management Council, including the commissioner, encouraged teams to make sure that they took less money. You know what Jaylen Hurts did for his teammates? He took less of a signing bonus so that he could have the cap float around to where others could be paid and others can renegotiate their contracts. I mean, they're not going to be involved in this because of Hurts. Hurts' contract has made it so they could keep that entire O-line intact. Do you know that? Nicole Lynn said that. He goes, the quarterback wanted to have the contract explained to him in detail on what it meant to other players on his team and how important it was for him that other players were going to benefit in the team's success. Jaylen just didn't grab a bag of money. He didn't. He wanted to make sure he got what was his, but he also wanted to make sure others prospered in the success of the football team. That's really cool. They are not going to be involved in any of this. I believe that there was collusion. Of course there's collusion. Seals, about 8 years ago, I was watching a college football game. I told my buddies the quarterback was going to be a Pro Bowl player in the NFL, and it was Josh Allen. And I'll tell you something, Kyle. His best year at Wyoming was his sophomore year. His senior year, they didn't have very good players around him. Okay, the junior year was a pretty good. That was his best year in college. His best year was sophomore season, I believe. You know, he only got one scholarship offer. And that was from that was from Wyoming. Oh, look at Ben here. Ben, my friend's backside over. Is Daniel Sileo giving credit to Hurts? I can't believe my ears. Absolutely. It's because of Jaylen Hurts' contract, you're able to do this and pay Jalen Carter. If he had taken a contract like Dak, with the structuring of Dak's, there's no way you're signing Jalen Carter and keeping that old line intact. Do you understand what's happening next offseason? You're going to keep your entire. How many people believe that anybody will be exited of those four guys off that roster from the O-line? I don't. I believe that O-line will be intact for the next 5 years. Now, the interchangeable thing that you have at the right guard position will probably be different. Okay? Yes. Crazy take if the Chiefs implode and miss the playoffs this season, like I believe they will. I do also. Do you think it's a possibility that they trade Chris Jones, who will be 32 next season, to build youth around Mahomes? Absolutely. Why would you stick around with a 32-year-old guy at $35 million? Especially if you miss the playoffs. Absolutely. I'm not sticking to Chris Jones if I'm missing playoffs and my defense implodes. Why would I? You know, the thing in Dallas, what if the Cowboys miss the playoffs this year? Let's just say the Cowboys miss the playoffs. And you're paying CeeDee Lamb $35, $36 million. You're paying Dak $60. and you're going to turn around and pay Michael Parsons 40, and you miss the playoffs? Why am I paying those men? Why would I be paying those guys? That doesn't make sense. I am paying players the premium money and the max money I can for players that are not helping me make the playoffs. Why in the world would I do that? I would trade Michael Parsons if that ends up happening. I would look at trading CeeDee Lamb, and clearly I would look at trading Dak Prescott. This is year 10, folks. Where are you going? The only thing that Dak has brought to Dallas is a high payroll. That's it. Dak Prescott has brought, I'll tell you, let me give you the overall thing on this. This is Jaylen's contract is so team friendly that it allows them to do business because the quarterback, you know what he did? He bent over for the organization, and that's why the organization gave him a no trade. What a great negotiating by Nicole Lynn. Hey, he's going to take less money on a signing bonus so you can do business. We want a guarantee. You know what that is? That you can't trade me to Tennessee or some shitty organization like the Jets. That's a great trade-off. Hey, when you get a chance to control your own destiny and you can tell a team, you're not trading me to that shithole. I don't want to go. Jaylen Hurts is basically playing an Eli Manning card. You can't trade me to Arizona. You can't trade me to the Jets or Tennessee or Carolina. That's not going to happen. I'm going to give you all the ability to do what you need to do to build a team around me. Don't let me down. Here, Jaylen, here's $50 million, and we give you the opportunity to have a no trade clause in your contract. That's fucking huge. You control your destiny by your play, and also you've controlled the destiny of others around you. That's why they're winning. There's compromising. You know, some of you said Jaylen, and I said this, Jaylen would never give you a discount. He actually has. You know why? He's not demanding a restructure. He's not demanding more money. He's allowing the Eagles to keep players intact. Look, there were sacrifices this offseason with Milton and Josh and CJ and Slay, but that's part of doing business in the NFL. It's very smart. I wanted to start that off there. We got 10 questions on if they are going to repeat. I think some of these things have to be asked. We're going to do that here in a minute. But I'm going to ask you something else on the other side when it comes to Jaylen Hurts here. Some quarterbacks care about wins. Others care about stats. Remember, Kyle, once again, I look at players differently. You guys are looking at a team, and rightfully so. I don't root for a team. I root for players. And players' success is usually not team-driven. Every single guy that got contract extensions, Myles Garrett, does Myles Garrett get $40 million based on team success? Absolutely not. He's not getting paid on team success. He's getting paid on his success. Okay, that's how you know where you are in the NFL. Plain and simple. You're not paid on team success. Hey, Jack, I love your fan base more than your team. Funny, I had a guy tweet me or X me, whatever, and Joe Kraus liked it. Sills, I hope you get a radio show in Philly. Are you crazy? Okay. It'd be an honor to talk to you guys on the radio in Philly, but I'm not going to kiss anyone's ass over there at George Soros Radio. Not happening. Same with the Fanatic. Bro, those are minor leagues compared to us now. You have minor league talent on. Why in the world would I ask for a job where I'm making more money than those guys now? It's not like it used to be when there were $700,000, $800,000 a year jobs. That's not. Joe Krause is behind the scene, and he knows that. Okay, it's not the same business. That's dude. Being on the air and talking to you guys is great. It's great. Philadelphia sports fans run those radio stations, not the host. You could get any jackass in there on the air to do a show, and you would have decent numbers. It's the fans. It's Buffalo's got great ones. Pittsburgh's got great ones. Green Bay's got great. Believe it or not, San Francisco's got great fans. The Bucks have great fans. Miami and New York and Los Angeles are awful. Dallas has great sports talk. There's very few pockets in the country that has great sports talk. Philly and Boston are probably the best. And I've spoken Boston and now in Philly. And it's the best. You're a lot alike. You hate one another. You're passionate with civic pride on your teams. And it's great. Not going anywhere, man. Dude, I'm building something here. Radio is too helter-skelter for me. Okay? The Krauses have never busted my stones on my content or how I do my show. Ever. I've never had a conversation of that. When it comes to running my show. You know what they do? They send me the link. I'm ready to rock. They've never said a word. I have, in my broadcasting career, have never had a company not up my ass like this one. It's a fact. I get off the air. I have people up my ass every second. You know why? They're so afraid. Dan, we can't have you. Here, one thing before we move on here, and why you guys are so great. I got a job at a radio station with Odyssey in San Diego. It was a flip. It went from like alternative rock to sports. And I did my very first show. I got off the air, and I'll never forget. I go in and I talk to Bob and I talk to the program director, and they're like, man, you know, you're a little too harsh. You know, you're hard on the Padres. And I'm like, shit, the Padres are known for two things: hamburgers and Tony Gwynn. They're not known for winning. It's the worst organization since 1969 in baseball. You want me to dress that thing up to make it sound great? Well, shit, win. Then they started getting Machado, and I'm going, okay. My bosses were telling me to lighten up on the air because not people are calling in complaining that you're a little bit too harsh. I'm like this. Well, why the fuck you hired me? I said that. 3 days in. 3 days in. Yeah, maybe if you toned it down a little. Man, toned it down. I was the number 2 guy in Southern California when I was on the Mighty 1090. You know what the Mighty 1090 is? Joe Krause will know this. You know what the Mighty 1090 is? That's Wolfman Jack's station. I had higher ratings than him. I broke all of his ratings. That's the radio station that was featured in American Graffiti. I smashed all those ratings records. I was doing 7 shares in Southern California, and I was 11th in morning drive in Los Angeles, doing a show in San Diego. Went all the way up the coast. I was number 2 in San Diego and number 11 in Los Angeles. I think I got it even in the top 10 one time, 1834. People in Philly give me, dude, Odyssey is afraid of them, of their shadow. They're not going to, and plus, you know what? Bro, they're just coming out of chapter 11. I mean, that's why George Soros bought them. I think it's not in a good place. Call in to Boomer Show. Algorithm relies on dumb viewers. Odyssey frauds. Odyssey's awful. And so are New York fans. This is what makes Philly and Boston great. Hey, circle back here on Hurts. Dude, congratulations. Jaylen really did a great job at his contract in making sure that the players around him benefited. Unfortunately, guess what? It still was a casualty for Goddard. Goddard had to take a pay cut. He's the only person that had a casualty, but the rest of the players, again, kudos to Hurts on structuring that contract correctly. Hit the like button, guys. We appreciate you. I do want to switch gears on Hurts, though. I want to ask you something here. So let me go here with you, and you tell me. Heading into 2025, by the way, I'm not ripping anybody. This is not a rip, okay? All right. What do you make of these numbers? This is 2024 and Jaylen Hurts' season. And you tell me how much these are going to improve and how he ran the offense. Yards. Hurts was 20th. Attempts. Hurts was 25th. Completions. Hurts was 22nd. Completion percentage. He was 8th. Touchdowns. He was 20th. Stacks. He was 11th. 38, 15 games. How are those numbers going to look in 2025? He was 20th in yards. He was 25th in attempts. And he was 22nd in completions. There's only 32 NFL starting quarterbacks. How will those, and let's ask you this, and let's put this in context. How many people believe that NFL teams this year are going to defend the Eagles differently than they did a year ago? How many folks believe that? When the Cowboys play the Eagles on September 4th, and then Kansas City, and then the Rams, then the Bucs, do you believe you're going to see a different way of defending that team? By the way, billionaire John Morgan will be with us at 4:30, and Joe Theismann, former NFL MVP and Monday Night Football host, will be with us at 5:30 Eastern Time. So we'll have Joe Theismann at 5:30, billionaire sports enthusiast John Morgan will be with us at 4:30. Xander's going to be in his normal spot at 3:30. So we appreciate all you guys. Please hit that like button. We look forward to all those guys. All right, here's RC3. By the way, you know my position on 2024. I'm not asking that. I'm asking how you see these numbers improving and how much in 2025. Attempts will go up, completion goes up. I don't think you have to have your completion going up. He's at 68, 69%. That's above the threshold of 66. I think if you're between 66 and 70, I think you're good. 7 out of every 10 passes get caught. You're going to win a shitload of football games. He's not going to get higher than 70%. Dude, that's not going to work. 70% leads the league in passing. Okay? If he's between 66 and just, I don't think that goes up. I'm all right with 8th. He's in the top 10 in completion percentages out of the quarterbacks in the NFL. That's an okay number. And I do believe he's improved that since his first time starting. Okay? I mean, his completion percentage is not going to go up. Really, me personally, I would like to see Hurts improve to be anywhere from 11 to 14. And all those numbers. If he's between 11 and 14, the offense improved under Kevin Petullo. That's where I'm going. That's actually where I'm going. The impact of Kevin Petullo here. Guys, please, appreciate you guys with the super. Sills. Hurts in the 20s will improve to the mid-teens. Okay. Completion percentage will drop. That's right, because there's more attempts. You got it right. Unless they implement the screen pass or go more to the tight end. Yeah, because look, these numbers here, again, I look at Jaylen Hurts' 2024 and see room for improvement. I see room for improvement. By defending the Eagles differently, how will they do that when you have Hurts running and passing and Barkley running? They're going to make Jaylen Hurts beat him. Here's what teams, Maxon, do not believe. That Jaylen Hurts can beat them every week. Jaylen Hurts won the Super Bowl. He didn't beat teams every week. That's how, I'm not saying they're right, but a year ago, he did not beat teams every week. He wasn't asked to. And teams would rather defend Jaylen Hurts than they would Saquon Barkley. Personally, I would still run the ball. I don't believe you're playing against a lot of top-flight defenses that can stop the run. Hey, it's one thing to say I want to stop Saquon Barkley. It's another thing to prove it to me. I really don't believe that. Like, the Cowboys are going to want to stop Barkley on September 4th. Well, I don't think he can. Even if you want to. I don't believe he can. I mean, I just don't believe it. You know how I tell you that I'm a guy that believes, and I have to see it? Yeah, well, I don't know. TBH, it doesn't have to change, Dan. The recipe already worked once. I'd just like to see Hurts read the field better situationally to take less sacks. That's the biggest room for improvement. It is. He's right. Get that number of 38 sacks down to, I don't know, in the teens, and you're going to have a way different looking offense. Granted, Hurts insert going to be good every week. You won't really know what kind of day he's going to have. That's right. Okay? That's right, Maxon. Because you could look at Jaylen Hurts' numbers and see 155 yards passing, 65 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns and go, well, I don't know. And then you turn around and go, well, I don't know. That's 240 or 230 yards for the total offense and 3 touchdowns. How's that a bad day? I'm not ripping anybody here. See, people look at that number. 165, 60 yards rushing. That's 255 yards of total offense and 3 touchdowns. I don't know. I mean, wake me up if somebody thinks that's a bad day, because I don't. Sills, last year, we're hoping the running game would be the counterpunch of the passing. This year, it's flipped. If the D's sell out to stop Barkley, Hurts must counter by passing and loosening things up. That's right, intermediate passing. But the one thing, Bob, that they do not do that would bother me, they don't throw across the middle of the field. Those numbers are not very good. Now, if you want to hang your hat on, well, they weren't asked to do anything passing-wise. Okay. Well, you're going to be this year. Look at the room for improvement. I mean, these numbers hang down at the worst quarterbacks in the league. How can 2 things be true? The Eagles had an unstoppable offense, and the quarterback was down in the bottom of mostly every single passing metric in the league, and yet the team looked dominant, especially in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl. How can that be possible? 2 things, again, can be true. To me, this comes down to just physical presence. Hoss, I heard John and Xander talking about this today, and I'll make my point here. I'm not changing a fucking thing until you prove to me you can stop me. That's like saying, okay, I'm George Foreman. I'm throwing haymakers. You want me to be a boxer now? Why would I do that? Nobody has stopped me from knocking dudes out, even into my 40s. Think about what George Foreman did when he knocked out Michael Moore, who we've had on this program, George Foreman. God rest his soul. Love George. George knocked people out when he was 24 and when he was 44 with the same punch. Why would George Foreman change? Why would the Eagles change? Why? Passing game, I'll say it. Okay? All seriousness aside, passing game's overrated. Guys, do me a favor. Super Bowl, what was it, 53? You guys won? How many yards did Brady throw for? Let me see something here. Brady's Super Bowl performances. How many did Brady threw for 500? Right? And lost. He turned around against the Rams. Do you remember how many yards Brady threw for against the Rams the following year? Do you guys remember? Seals, you said Hurts does better when he that's correct. When Hurts goes up tempo and he's up tempo and they're not able to get substitutions on defense on the field, the Eagle offense is at a high premium when they go up tempo. Absolutely true. Brady threw for 504 and lost. Somebody take a look at what Brady did the following year in his Super Bowl performances and what he did. Here's his Super Bowl stats. Brady threw for 505 yards. The following year, he threw for 262 against the Rams. Brady's thrown for 145 yards and won a Super Bowl. 354 against Carolina. 236 and won the Super Bowl. 466, get this, versus Atlanta. That was the comeback. Look at what he did in the Giants game. This guy was 27 of 41 and lost. And had 4 touchdowns in the Seattle Super Bowl. And against Kansas City, he had 200 yards. His least productive Super Bowl. And they beat him. I mean, you could throw for a shitload of yards. But at the end of the day, okay? At the end of the day, remember here, this comes down to defense and running the ball, and I do not believe the Eagles should change their game plan. Because I heard the guys going, yeah, Jaylen's going to have to be more efficient in the passing game. Well, dude, do me a favor. Let somebody prove it, that they can stop you. I don't believe they can. Okay? Big Sills point. Brady is a glorified Hurts. Brady is a glorified Hurts? I think it's kind of vice versa, dude. One guy's got 7 Super Bowls. One guy's got 1. And one guy's got 11 appearances. You might hang in there. Put some respect on that. Jaylen would. 2 Super Bowls versus 11 appearances. I don't know. Okay? I mean, one guy's been to 11. Another guy's been to 2. Yeah, I don't know. You know? Right? Big Sills doesn't get sarcasm. Neither do you. Hit the like button, my friends. All right, let me go here now. 10 things. Do you guys think you can repeat as champions? Ten things I have here. If you're going to repeat as Super Bowl champions, I think these 10 things, and maybe you add something else. Hit the like button, guys. Don't forget, John Morgan, our sports enthusiast billionaire, will join us. That'll be at 4:30. We will talk sports with him. Also, we will have Joe Theismann, former Super Bowl champion, also NFL MVP, will join us at 5:30 Eastern time. All right. So here are my 10 things. If you want to repeat as Super Bowl champions, okay? Hurts has to be more insertive in the offense this coming season. He can't just sit back. Now, does that mean in the run game, as we just mentioned, or the pass game? He's got to be more visible. I thought for 17 weeks of the regular season, he wasn't very visible. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that your run game would be the same without Jaylen. I am not saying that at all. Without him on the field, your running game would not be as feared as, say, you had a drop back standard quarterback and an old school guy who was a drop back guy. So to me, I'd like to see him more assertive. I want to see him make big plays throughout the game. He doesn't have to make a ton, but he's got to be a factor to make people respect the passing game. Again, folks, don't take sacks. A couple big plays in the game. Stick to that formula and run Barkley's wheels off. That's what I'm asking this year. I don't know what that number looks like. Might be 3,500 yards and 600 rushing with 40 touchdowns total. A bunch of touch. I don't know what that looks like. But if you're here, I'm going to make this point to you. If Jaylen Hurts throws for 4,500 yards, you're throwing from behind. Something happened to the run game. Do you think it's any coincidence that Jaylen Hurts threw for the least amount of yards and you won the Super Bowl? And his entire 4 years starting, he had the worst numbers of any year of him starting, except for completion percentage. He's down in the 20s and everything. And they won. You think there's any coincidence to that? Well, why in the world would you think that? Well, guess what we're going to do? We need to up the volume of passing attempts. Why would you do that? Do you understand the upping of passing attempts is going to create more opportunities for turnovers? Running the football is the safest equalizer to turnovers. Do you know that, right? Right? Get this. Brian says we had a closer in 24. Well, usually that's the quarterback. Anywhere else in the league, it's the quarterback. You know what you're able to do, too, for the first time and benefiting from your old line? You had a guy that can handle time of possession because of Barkley. Barkley was more feared than any player in the league last year. I don't care, wide receiver, quarterback, or what have you. Every single time that guy touched the football, I thought Saquon Barkley was going to hit his head on the goalpost. I mean, I don't know how you didn't see that. Every time he was on the field, I thought he was going to take it to the barn. He was just that electric. Hit the like button, guys. Number 2, the offensive line has to stay on track. And what do I mean by that? The continuity of the O-line has to remain. Do I think it will? Barring injury? You're not as deep in the O-line as you've been. You're just not. What's Steen going to look like at right guard? Is that going to be a factor? Here, probably not. Probably not. But you can't have a significant drop-off, and you haven't. All the way back to Isaac Seumalo. You haven't. Okay? You just haven't. Jaylen's vision to choose when to pass or hand off his elite throwing is average if you combine both. Is Hurts top 5. Sills, I think Hurts can do to make him a top 2. Let me read this again. Jaylen's vision to choose when to pass or hand off is elite. Are you talking the RPO? Okay. His decision-making in the RPO is clearly elite. He's an okay passer. He's above average. If you combine both, Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. I'll tell you what, I'll make this point to you again about Jaylen Hurts and that RPO. He's the best RPO decision-making quarterback I've ever seen, and that includes Lamar Jackson. He's not the player that Lamar is, but he's a better decision-maker than Lamar. In that Ravens game, I've told you guys numerous times, I thought he made poor decisions in that game against the Eagles. I thought Baltimore should have won that game. But you know why they did it? The quarterback was smarter, the defense was better, and the running game. They did everything methodical. But you know what it looked like to me? Baltimore was trying to prove a point. There's 2 teams Baltimore has problems with. You know who they are? Kansas City and Philly. When they get in games with Philly and Kansas City, they shit the bed. They just totally shit the bed. That game should have been better for Baltimore. Now, I think Baltimore's better on defense this year. Excuse me. I think they're going to be better. The additions of Malachi Starks and Mike Green and Alexander are going to make them better. But the quarterback's got to be a better decision maker. This is where Jaylen Hurts wins games over Lamar. Okay? This is where he wins games. As to what you're saying, David, he's a better decision maker. He just is. And again, I mean, when you've got a running back, how in the world, if you're Derrick Henry, are you sitting there going, give me the ball. Give me the ball. Especially against Kansas City. Give me the ball. Instead of having 38 passing attempts against KC, how many passing attempts did Lamar Jackson have against the Eagles? Against Kansas City and against Philly, if I have Lamar Jackson as my quarterback, if he's throwing the ball over 25 times, I'm losing. I've got fucking Derrick Henry. I mean, the Eagles knew that. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. You are not. This is where Philly's smarter than Baltimore. I'm not going to beat teams getting into a pitch and catch mask of 41 attempts with our O-line. What's the point of that? I'm taking our strength away. Get this, the more passing attempts that you have, the more you're undermining your strength. The strength of your team is jamming things down people's throats. Not playing a finesse game. Those finesse teams, and then get this, Baltimore turns into a finesse team against you and Kansas City. I told my friends in Baltimore this. You know, they asked me in the offseason here. I know Ozzie Newsome very well. He goes, hey, man, you cover that Eagle team. And I'll tell them what I told you guys. We should get Ozzie on. I'll tell you exactly what I told Ozzie. I said, every time you guys get into games with an elite quarterback or a dominant team like Philly, you do things out of character. I said, I don't understand why you think you have to throw the ball 70 times against Kansas City in 2 games in a playoff game. How are you getting into a pitch and catch match with Patrick Mahomes in an AFC title game? You undermine your strength of running the ball with Derrick Henry. Kansas City doesn't want physicality. The Eagles proved that. You know, you exposed Philly. Philly exposed KC. They're a better hybrid of Miami, but they got a better quarterback. Miami and KC are a lot alike, but the quarterback and the coach is better. And when you ran the ball down their throat, they didn't have the personnel to stop it. And Hurts had a great game. Kansas City doesn't want to play physical football. When I played them in the second week of the season, I think it's a Monday night game, I want to run it right down their face. So here, I want to see Hurts more inclusive in this offense this year. This is the repeat. O-line has to keep with its integrity. And I believe they will. I don't believe you're as deep, though. Okay? Sills, Lamar had 23 of 36 attempts for 236 yards against the Ravens last year. You mean against the Eagles last year? Is that what you're saying, Ibanez? 36 attempts versus Philly? Why? Why? He should have had 36 carries for Derrick Henry. Ravens do stupid shit when they get into the playoff. It's like when you make a pizza, they put the cheese on the bottom, then the sauce. They blow their brain cells out with too much overcooking of an offensive thing. I mean, they totally do. Thank you, Kyle. I mean, 36 times against Philly, and you got Derrick Henry. You're going to lose that game. Look, 36 attempts versus Philly, 38 attempts in the AFC title game, I believe, versus Kansas City, or the divisional game, whatever it was. Why? Stupid. I didn't talk like that to Ozzy, but I told Ozzy, I'm like, why are you getting into a game where the quarterback you feel has to throw the ball that much? I don't get it. Lamar had 80 yards in garbage time. He only had 160 total yards. Dude, how much did Derrick Henry have? Not enough. See, let me put it this way to you. When you got a player like Derrick Henry, 1 carry, 2 carries, 25 yards, 5 carries, 35 yards, 11 carries, 42 yards, 13 carries, he breaks one off for 70. You got to, because he's a hammer. That's exactly how Barkley plays. 5. You know, Barkley runs a lot like Emmett. He runs a lot like Emmitt Smith. 5, 10, 15. But then he's got the speed of Sanders when he breaks into the open field. Emmett never really broke big plays off. It was always 5, 8, 9, 10. You look up, he's got 28 carries for 156 yards. You're like, what? I can't tell you how many games I used to do that with Emmett. What's he got, 60 yards? He's got 154 yards and 28 carries. You're like, what? I mean, no. I thought he was okay in speed, but he was a tremendous. What made Emmitt Smith so great at running back was his ability to run in traffic. He's the greatest runner in traffic that's ever lived. Ever lived. Best in-traffic runner that's ever lived. There's no debating. Every level he played at, he's broke records. He rushed for 12,000 yards in high school, 4,000 yards in Florida, and 17,000 yards in the NFL. All records. 4.6 is okay. That's okay. Not crazy great. Not crazy great. If the Eagles lose talent anywhere on defense or offense, I think in 5 starting, Hurts should be able to pick up the slack if he's the quarterback we think he is. Dude, the quarterback in the O-line. So let me finish here. If you're going to repeat, okay? Like Kimberly, Lamar, get it done, young man, or you're out of the elite conversation. Monken, Harbaugh, Henry, 2 generational safeties, and Alexander. By the way, they also got a pretty good corner up there, too, who's also a Pro Bowl cornerback they have. Find a way to get it done, or Hurts surpasses you. Boy, I'll tell you, there's no excuses. It is time. I mean, how about this? Do you guys feel this with Lamar Jackson? Has Jaylen Hurts put pressure now on Lamar to win? You know, the one thing you say, and I say it all the time, hey, Jalen's got a stacked team. Well, in sports, that doesn't always work out. Here's why. Remember they had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden in Brooklyn. You could fucking stack the team all you want, but you got to get results. You know what I'm saying? You got to win. You got to win. I don't believe there's pressure on Josh Allen to win a Super Bowl. I think there's pressure on the organization to build a team around him first. To win a Super Bowl, you have to have a general manager. And I think Brandon Beane has done a piss-ass job building that team. He and the coach have failed that guy. They have failed him by not building a good enough team around him. Howie Roseman has put the pressure on that GM and head coach. If Nick Sirianni can parachute into Philly and win a Super Bowl, Sean McDermott should too. Josh Allen has done everything asked of him. The organization hasn't. Get this. It's not defending, it's facts. Name me one place where you think that fucking organization has helped Josh Allen win a Super Bowl. Name me one place. Give me one place. And what was Buffalo when he showed up? They were a trending, losing organization. Nothing has changed except Allen. Who's first to win a Super Bowl? Allen, Jackson, or Burrow? I believe Lamar. Get this. Excuses. It's not excuses. It's facts. Those are facts. You know what an excuse is? An excuse is trying to come up with ways why you love Jordan Davis and you think he's not a fat body. That's excuses for a guy not being in shape, M. Reyes. That right there is excuses that you make for your fat guy. For Donut Davis. You make excuses for Donut Davis. That's what you do. I mean, well, you're like, Donut Davis, when you have a coordinator calling him out. You make excuses for him. Until proven otherwise, Donut Davis is a fat body. No excuses. None. Sills, Hurts has put the pressure on every quarterback except Mahomes. Yes, the team is loaded, but Hurts has been publicly labeled as a lesser talent, yet all he does is win big games. Yes. Here. He's got the trifecta going. Let me ask you this, Bob. Name me a place other than Kansas City and Philly that has this dynamic. The best GM, the best head coach, and the best quarterback. Name me a place that has all the pieces that fit. Can you? Los Angeles, maybe? Well, they've won a Super Bowl. Los Angeles has won a Super Bowl. Okay? Name me one thing that Buffalo has done. By the way, I see somebody in here. When they got rid of Diggs, he won the MVP. And Diggs is a cancer in New England now. He didn't help. It was a shitty move. He's a shitty player. He's an overrated player. Stephon Diggs is overrated. Not that good. He never was. How many people would take Stephon Diggs over Devontae Smith? Name me one thing Buffalo has done for Josh Allen in Buffalo. One thing. Give me one thing that they've done to build the team around him. Just one. I didn't think he could. So let's go to number 3. So again, if you are going to repeat, Hurts has to be more involved, in my opinion, in the offensive attack week to week. The O-line has to be on track. Number 3, I think AJ and Devontae have to be healthier this year. Now, let me ask you this. Get this. Look at this guy. A 35, 36-year-old Von Miller. What a dumb take. Nice reach, dude. A 35, 36-year-old Von Miller. He says is what they've done. As a matter of fact, that's a really good take because he's right. That's all they ever did. Get an aging veteran on defense for Josh Allen. Nice job. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. That's about right. So, how many carries do you believe that Saquon Barkley will have this year? Another, if you go to the Super Bowl and repeat, another 440, do you think? So, what do you think, 440? Something like that? Give me a number. Give me a number. By the way, folks, I'm not debating Josh Allen with any of you hammerheads in Philly. I'm not. I'm not doing it. It's not a conversation for me. So have at it. You guys can hit on all you want. I'm not debating that. 350 to 405. Okay. Okay, so 405. Let me ask you this. Do you think that style of play takes a toll on receivers blocking in the run game? Yes or no? Do you think that 400 carries And if you go 405, now you're going to be talking about 800 carries in 2 years. Ask Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin is a physical football player. Michael Irvin, 6'3", 238 pounds. Do you think that takes a toll? By the way, I think Mike played 12 years. Do you think if he was in a passing offense, he'd have played 15? If he wasn't blocking in the run game for Emmett? Okay? Well, I'll tell you what, Abe. AJ's not as physical as Michael Irvin. He's not. And he's not a better player. Win 3 Super Bowls first, then come call me. Okay? Funny you should say that. Let me get to this list first. Okay? Look at this. Really, you think A.J. Brown's a better football player than Michael Irvin? Okay. Who are you asking? I'll tell you what. I'll ask Joe Theismann that at 5:30 Eastern. What do you think? Let's ask Joe Theismann. A.J. Brown's a better player than Michael Irvin. Based on what? Oh, let me guess. Numbers? Huh. I don't remember Michael Irvin stopped on the way to 3 Super Bowls. I don't remember that. I'll ask Joe Theismann. 5:30. As a matter of fact, who else could I act? I'll ask Troy Aikman. We'll ask Troy. Wait, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll ask Jimmy Johnson if he thinks A.J. Brown's a better ball player than Michael Irvin. Classic. How many years did he torch your ass? Probably a little bit, huh? All right. Number 4, Barkley's health. Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. You're right. I'll ask Bruce Arians, who's a better ball player, A.J. Brown or Michael Irvin. We'll see. Okay? We'll do that. I'll ask Bruce. Bruce will be fair to that. He'll be fair. Barkley's health. I like that one topic that you brought. They're both great. Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. Both great. Here's number 5. What's Dallas Goedert's role this coming season? What do you think? Again, it's not something I'm going to debate. A.J. Brown versus Michael Irvin. That's not going to happen. What's Dallas Goedert's role this coming season? Mike Evans or A.J. Brown? Well, A.J. will never do the things that Mike Evans will have done in his career. He'll never have 11 straight years of being over 1,000 yards. That's not going to happen. He's got 3 in a row. That's just not going to happen. Now, who's a more Mike Evans was so steady. AJ's probably a little more dominant. Okay? He's probably a little more, those slant passes, he's impossible to get on the ground. And he's best in the run game. Not that Mike's not. But if I had to pick, I'd probably pick AJ. And this one here, I would pick AJ because you know why? Once again, I don't believe that there's a coincidence that this dude's blocking for Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley and all the rest of these guys. And I just don't think that's by an accident that he's helped running games. Okay? I mean, I don't. Yeah, well, once again, too. Okay, that's not a metric. So wait a minute, RC3. When I bring up numbers by other players, you tell me it's stats. You're bringing up numbers to me, and you're telling me that's why he's a better than him. Which is it, guy? Stick to your guns on one take. Or do you think that numbers matter, or do you not think that numbers matter, or do they matter when your argument matters? I'm just trying to fucking get a clue on how you look at things. Wait a second. I never said that A.J. Brown doesn't have a shot at it. But the chances of him getting in, you heard Jason Cole. They've made it more difficult to get in. There's a backlog of players now. Getting into the Hall of Fame is much tougher now. It's not like it was years ago. Mike Evans is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going in. I talked to Armando Salguero a couple days ago. He's already got his vote. Okay? Here, get this. Yeah, let me read you something. Let me stop here at number 5. I want to show you something, folks. I had a great debate this morning. And I want to show you something here. With this guy saying here. Michael Irvin doesn't need Super Bowls to be better than A.J. Brown. And here's why. Here are the best football players that never won a Super Bowl. Okay? Here's the best players that have never won a Super Bowl. Some of these guys have never even been in one. Number 1, Dan Marino. Arguably the greatest thrower of the football. Does Dan Marino need a Super Bowl ring to have that distinction as one of the top 5 greatest players at the position in the history of the sport? No. Barry Sanders. Does Barry Sanders need a Super Bowl ring to validate his career? No. Would one Super Bowl matter on how you look at Barry Sanders? No. Has no bearing. 0. When you saw Sanders play, you knew he was one of the greatest players to ever play in the game. Number 3, Alan Page. Albeit he went to 4, never won. Are you trying to tell me a defensive MVP who's considered one of the greatest defensive ends in the history of the sport needs a ring to validate that career? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Here. You think Bruce Smith, the all-time sack leader for the Buffalo Bills, perennial all-pro, not Pro Bowl, all-pro. You think that guy needs a fucking Super Bowl ring to validate his career? No. Number 5, Randy Moss. Do you actually believe because one of your guys has a ring, he's better than Moss? It's not the conversation. Nobody's talking about that. I'm talking about validating their careers. Of course, you're in a team sport. Of course you want one. These guys don't need fucking Super Bowls to validate their careers. Barry Sanders needed a Super Bowl ring to validate his career. Really? His career was already validated. Here's another one. Anthony Munoz, the greatest offensive lineman in the history of pro football. You think that guy needed to validate his career with a Super Bowl win? Anybody who has any brains knows that Anthony Munoz is the greatest O-lineman to ever play. He don't need a Super Bowl ring. Eric Dickerson. He don't have a Super Bowl ring. Do you really think that guy needed a Super Bowl ring to validate his career? Are you fucking high? Here's one. Leroy Selman, the greatest 34 end to ever play. I didn't say that. Joe Green did. When they were picking the top 100 players in the history of the sport, and then they picked the starting D-line, Leroy was on it. He played for the Bucs. He was on a team that was 0-25. Okay? Players voted for that. Leroy Selman, starting all-time NFL team. That's a great comment there. Oh, by the way, I got OJ on that list. OJ is one of the greatest running backs of all time to ever play the game. Make no mistake about it. The all-time NFL team. Let's see. All-time NFL team. Let's see how many people have Super Bowls. Montana and Brady, running backs. Jim Brown, no Super Bowls. Barry Sanders, no Super Bowls. Walter Payton, 1. Wide receivers, Rice, Super Bowls. Moss, none. Anthony Munoz, no Super Bowls. Larry Allen, Super Bowl. Webster, Super Bowl. Here, let me get the all-time team. Here it is. Here's the all-time team. John Elway. Here's the Super Bowl quarterbacks. John Unitas. And Montana. Dan Marino, no Super Bowl. Emmitt Smith. O.J. Simpson, no Super Bowl. Gale Sayers, no Super Bowl. Eric Dickerson, no Super Bowl. Earl Campbell, no Super Bowl. Steve Largent, receiver, no Super Bowl. Randy Moss, no Super Bowl. Guys, I go down the list here forever. Doesn't validate your fucking career. John Randall, no Super Bowl. So when you say that to me, how much does the Super Bowl really play into a person's career? Of course, it's a great achievement. It's another achievement. But it doesn't validate your career. Randy Moss is the second or third greatest receiver in the history of the sport. Not because he doesn't have Super Bowls, because he is. Like Reggie White. Do you think Reggie White needed that Super Bowl in Green Bay to say that he was the second best player, or maybe even the greatest defensive player, whatever your fancy is, between him and LT? Do you really believe that that was part of the conversation? Absolutely not. It's always been a flawed conversation. Trent Dilfer has a ring. Dan Marino doesn't. That doesn't make Trent Dilfer any more accomplished than Dan Marino. He was fortunate to be in a great organization, the Baltimore Ravens, and Dan wasn't. As flawed as the Dolphins were. You want to hear something crazy? Here, I'm going to show you something. This was always a great conversation because people in Philly are really, I mean, the Super Bowl with Jaylen Hurts, it means a lot. I'm not saying it doesn't. Here, let me show you this. Year-to-year leaders. Miami Dolphins. I'm going to show you something. Season. Let me show you something. Season leaders. Here. Okay. So, season leaders for the Miami Dolphins during the Dan Marino time. I'm going to show you this. This is during Marino's time. Dan Marino, in his time, played with one dude that had 1,000-yard season in 17 years. Here, go down the list. Abdul-Jabbar in 96, 1,116. He retired in 99. Dan Marino did not have but one. And in some aspects, they had a guy gain 500 yards. One time in 17 seasons, they had a 1,000-yard rusher. They never had a running game. And that was on Marino. Because Dan was too, he was too hard-headed. He believed he could win Super Bowl games through the air. That's why Montana and those guys were able to beat him. Why? They had Roger Craig. They had a good O-line. They had balance in their attack. Miami never did. They never built a running game. Josh Allen. Because Allen can run. Marino can't. It's the only reason. In today's game, I'm doing Josh Allen. Marino wouldn't last in today's game. Why do you think a guy like Dan Marino wouldn't last in a game like today? You know, everyone always says that he would throw for 7,000 yards today if he was in today's NFL. Why do you think Dan Marino could not last in today's NFL? What do you think he'd have a problem with? Free agency. Free agency. If you don't keep your O-line intact, how's Marino going to stand in the pocket? If you don't have a balanced attack and you don't have O-linemen, how's he playing back there? Could Dan Marino play in Philly? Yeah. With that O-line? Yeah. But you'd be paying Dan Marino $70 million. And you're not keeping Lane Johnson then. You got a salary cap today. They didn't have it. And they had two things back in that era. They didn't have a salary cap. And they didn't have free agency. So you were able to acquire players you wanted as long as you drafted well. Now, players are leaving left and right. 18% to 19% of the roster changes over every year. Okay? I don't know what this means. Sounds like some dude sitting in his fucking basement talking about what? LeBron? Guy's got 4 championships. What are you talking about, dickhead? He's got 4 titles and 3 MVPs in 3 different cities. I'm not sure what you're talking about, douchebag. I have no idea. I have no idea what that douchebag's talking about. LeBron is a champion. He's the all-time leading scorer. He's got MVP awards in 3 different cities. What the fuck are you talking about? This guy's stupid. LeBron's mouthpiece? I'm a Jordan guy. I have no idea what you're talking about, though, dummy. No idea. Okay. Okay. And? Sills, the topic about Jalen Carter's snaps he played was all to do with the offense not playing up to par. I just think that defense played a lot of reps. Okay, Abe, I think they played a lot of reps. Shit, hey, bud, I'll take Kobe over LeBron. I'm with you. I don't have any problem saying that. I'll take Kobe over LeBron. If I had to win a 48-minute game, I'll take Kobe. I'm good with that. If all you want is a Hall of Fame career, then stay in places like Jack. Bro, you don't have any fucking dictating control over where you get drafted. I mean, what the hell do you think this is here? When you go to shitty teams, you go to shitty teams. When you're in bad environments, when you're a good player, you get drafted to shitty places. If you're a good player, hello, Marcus, just in case you didn't know how the draft works, if you're a really good prospect, you go to shitty teams, okay? Jaylen was fortunate enough to go to a great organization because why? He wasn't a first-round talent coming out of college. Congratulations. Best thing ever happened to him and Roethlisberger was Roethlisberger went later than Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning. Case closed. I don't know what you're talking about. You don't have a choice when you're the number one overall pick, like Trevor Lawrence, to go to Philly. You get drafted by shitty teams. Do you not know how the draft works? Or what are we doing here? Or are you trying to manufacture an excuse? Is that what you're doing? Because I have no idea what you're talking about. Stay in Jacksonville? When you're a good player, they pick up options and they give you contracts. Forrest, I'll help you out as much as I can. But the next thing for you would be Braille. Okay? I went to the Bucks. I was the first player drafted in the second round, third round. Back then, because there were only 28 teams. I was the first player selected because the Bucks had the top pick. Let me hook RC3 up. Do you know how the rounds work? Okay. Let me help some of you guys. I didn't realize you didn't know how the NFL worked. When you are the worst team in the league, you get the first pick in every round. 1, 2, 3. RC3, did you not know that? So when I was in the third round, the worst team in the league picked me. I was the first player taken in the third round by the worst team in football. I hope that makes sense. That's how the draft works. Before Dungy showed up, the Bucks were notorious for being a crappy organization. A couple years under Coach McKay, they were great. Okay? Hey, I get it. Some of these guys, listen to this. I'm a liar now that if you're the worst team in the draft, unless you trade those picks, the worst team in the league gets the pick in every round. Tennessee this year would get the first pick in every round. Unless they trade it. Holy shit. Yeah, that's right. Here. I didn't know, man. It's all good, you know. Don't worry, girls. I'm here to help. Yeah, I'm here to help. Now, again, unless you trade the pick and the trade and you trade them and you move trades around, okay? And you trade future picks for the second, but that's how it works. I'm just here to help. Even if you like Jordan and Kobe more than LeBron, LeBron is a legend with insane stats and accomplishments. Correct. I'm not dismissing him. Okay. Okay. Let me see. I'll do that right now. Let's see. 1988 NFL draft. '88 NFL draft. Let's see here. Go down the list. And let's see here. Number 56. Let's see here. Let's see. No, I don't want to do that. Hold on here. Here it is. So the first round went 1988. Andre Bruce went. You should make sure I'm not missing anything here. Andre Bruce went, which was a terrible pick, but he went to the Falcons. Second pick was Neil Smith. The third pick with the Chiefs was Benny Blades. The Bucks that year had the fourth pick. Okay, they had the fourth pick in the draft that season in '88. Let me see the defensive tackles that went ahead of me. Michael Irvin went 11 to the Cowboys. Let's see. Any defensive tackles that went? Yeah, Ted Gregory went to number 25 to the Broncos. Scott Davis from Illinois went to the Niners through a trade, went to the Raiders, actually. Chris Spielman was the 29th player taken. Today he'd be a first rounder. Eric Allen. Get this. The Bucks drafted Eric Allen. I did not know that until I saw this. I did not know this. Maybe this is exactly. Maybe this is I didn't know this. But Eric Allen was initially drafted by the Buccaneers. Then they traded him to the Eagles. Danny Stubbs went to the 49ers through a trade. Pierce Holt was drafted by initially the Eagles and then was traded to the 49ers. Wow. I didn't know that. And then here I am. Number 56, exercise pick in the supplemental draft, Dan Sileo, number 56. Guys after me, D lineman, trying to see here. Al Noga, a pretty good ball player. Robert Goff was a pretty good player. Chuck Cecil was good. This is when we had 12 rounds. Wow, I didn't know that. Eric Endelsack went in the 5th round. He was a really great player. He got killed in a car accident. Played for the Lions. He was a really good football player. All pro, by the way. We had a bunch of Hurricane guys go. Yeah, man. There's 12 rounds back in my day. So, yeah, it was the 56th player taken. I think two D tackles went in front of me in that draft. I should have played my senior year. But yeah, the third round, I was the first player taken in the third by the Bucks. So, yes. Take the Brown jersey down. You're not an Eagle fan. I don't have to take the jersey down because I'm a Jerome Brown fan. Okay? Bro, I'm not celebrating the Eagles. I'm celebrating Jerome Brown. Leroy Selman is my friend. Robustelli is my uncle. Jerome Brown was my best friend. Who the fuck are you? Says, what camp battle are you most excited for? That safety position. Oh, by the way, I'm going to do that. You know what? I picked my starting Eagle defense. Okay? Yes. Correct. Yes. Absolutely correct. Pierce was a good football player, too. Gregory wasn't. Came out of Syracuse. I believe he came out of Syracuse. Okay? Right? You got the... I still have hope for Sidney Brown. I don't know, man. Here, let me give you guys this. I'll get back to that list on repeating. But I wrote down my starters. Here. This is what I want to see your defense look like this year. Okay? This is what I want to see your defense. What isn't fake news is ESPN Bet has the Eagles repeating 2026 plus 650. Okay. I don't know how you could. I think there's a bunch of teams that could win a Super Bowl this year. He went to Syracuse. Yeah, I think I made some All-American teams with him. Okay. Here's the team that I want to see on defense. You tell me if you agree. Eagles versus Bills or Ravens Super Bowl. I got Ravens. Seals, I didn't say anything you said was fake news. I was talking, okay, I got you, Ben. I got you, bro. Here's who I want to see playing on your defense. Okay? Moro Jomo at end. Jordan Davis at tackle. Nose. Jalen Carter at end. Nolan Smith at will. Zach Bond at inside left backer. I got Munden as a starter. I know Campbell, Jacoby, and Trotter. I don't think any one of those guys, except for Dean, has a shot at playing there. I'm not going to give Jeremiah Trotter Jr. the benefit of the doubt when I've never seen him play. I mean, neither of you. You're just assuming he's going to play. I mean, that's why I asked the question. Where are you getting this from? Vic saying he's showing good signs in helmets and shorts in minicamp? Okay. Well, I've never seen him play the game or start a football game in his life. Have you? If this guy had played and started, I'd be like, and beat out Oren Burks, I'd be like, whoa, okay, he's ready to take over. Like, I got more confidence in Steen than I do Trotter. Why? At least Steen played and started. Did he not? At least that guy's got a shot because he started a couple ball games. Trotter's never played. That's going to be your starting linebacker. So let me get this right. You're going to start Makuba and Keely Ringo and Trotter on a defense, and these dudes have never started a down in their life. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? Well, okay. I don't know. I mean, they don't even really have game experience. That's why I want to, if I'm going to start somebody, I'm going to start the kid from Georgia because I think he's faster and he's more athletic. Why are you putting Trotter in? Why are you putting Trotter in? He's never started it down. I got Jalen Hunt. You know who they have? Starting right now is Ziso Jalari. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I want Jalen Hunt out there. You're going to live and die with these outside edge guys. If these guys cannot play 17 games, you are in trouble because then you're going to have to go to free agents and hope you have those guys step up where they couldn't in previous jobs. Remember, you found Oren Burks on a roster. He had been there and not traveled around. Wasn't like he was cut. He was there. The Saints didn't know what to do with him. That's right. Homegrown first up. That's correct. You put the evaluation in. You put the coaching in. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I completely agree with that. Homegrown first. Hewitt corner. Now, this is going to be different for you. Okay? Hewitt corner. Reed at safety. Cooper DeJean at safety. And Adoree Jackson at corner. You guys can hope all you want about Keeley. At least I know Adoree can play. I don't know Keeley can play. And I'm not saying that Adoree Jackson's some sort of superstar player, but at least I know he can play. I don't know. The only thing you could give me about Keely Ringo is I hope he's good. There is no other thing around it. And look, people were telling me that Bryce Huff was going to be a superstar. The Eagles kept telling us Bryce Huff's going to be an impact player. Well, Vic couldn't do shit with him. So someone in the chat is saying the Steelers want Smith for TJ. Can you look it up to see if it's true? There's no fucking way. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to trade man for man TJ Watt versus a guy who's played half a year. There is no way they would demand a top 3 pick. And probably not a first, but at least a third rounder in there. If you're going to trade for Watt. Nolan Smith for TJ Watt? Are you nuts? TJ Watt is one of the 3 best pass rushers in pro football, and it is not close. That is fake news. That is just absolutely asinine. That'd be like saying, hey, well, let me trade Nolan Smith for Myles Garrett. The Browns would laugh at you. That's not happening. Have some context about yourselves. And get this, and this is even more so than anything. You're talking about a $40 million payroll. Anybody who trades for TJ Watt, be prepared to put 40 up there. You know why why do you think the Eagles have no interest in this move? unless it's a one-year deal. And they bring him in and then they trade him, or they allow him to go free agency and they pay him on his current contract because they know next year they're not going to pay him because they're going with Carter. The only way you would put that in there, it would be a one-year deal in Philly. I mean, you're going to pay two guys $40 million? Plus, again, you guys have now put dudes in a box. Who you're going to pay. Tell you what, if you brought in TJ Watt, you could kiss Reed Blankenship's ass goodbye and Nolan Smith, no matter how good they are. They're not keeping that guy. TJ Watt is a great football player. Fantastic. But that's an enormous salary. Seriously, they put a deal on the table. They want him to retire. They want him to retire a Steeler. The Rooneys don't want him to go. But he's looking at it this way. I got one more contract. And if the guy in Cleveland just got 40, so am I. I think he's got 5.5 sacks. I think he's the sack leader for active players. 106 or something shitty like that. He can play the run. He's former defensive player of the year. I still think he's got juice. He's probably got 2 really great years. 3-year contract at 40? Whoa. Why would the Eagles be in? The Eagles didn't need him. I mean, people were asking me this morning, Philadelphia, would there be an interest in TJ Watt? I'm like, no, zero. Completely zero. Remember, right now in today's NFL, it is so difficult to keep a team together, and the NFL makes it that way. Why? Because of salary, cap, and draft, and free agency. All those dynamics hurt teams' chances of repeating. And then you're hitting on free agents. You see, the league is set up to make sure the Eagles don't repeat. That's how the league survives. Get this. Who do you think is more important to the NFL shield? The Eagles or Tennessee? Who do you think is more? Eagles or Tennessee? Who would you think? What organization is more important to Park Avenue? Philly or the Tennessee Titans? That's right. Tennessee. Why? The value of your league goes up when the bottom goes up, not the top goes up. That's baseball and basketball and every other professional sports league's flaws. NFL doesn't have that flaw. Okay? You're only as strong as the weakest link in your league. If you've got teams like the Orlando Magic floating around in poverty and they can't do shit and they can't compete and no one goes to games and you don't have any ratings and you can't have a value of that team, it's why the Green Bay Packers can play the Carolina Panthers in the NFC title and you get 85 million people watching. That's why it's important to have the lower bottom feeders getting better. That's why they get the first pick in the draft. That's why they get the first choice in free agency. If that was the case, the best teams in the league would get the first opportunity at the best college prospects, and they would get the best opportunity at the free agent prospects. That's not how that league works. Dude, get this. Park Avenue hates Philly. They hate them. The quarterback took a pay cut on the guaranteed money up front, according to Nicole Lynn. He could have took more, but he didn't want to. And he wanted the contract explained to him, making sure that they could restructure contracts for other players on the team. So Jaylen took less money up front. Do you know that Daniel Jones got paid more money up front than Hurts in payouts? Jaylen actually did give the team a hometown discount. He actually did. I mean, like I said, I don't know what this means. Folks love to tune in to an underdog or a juggernaut. We have the experience in both shoes. That's not how the league operates. The league does not operate that way. To ensure success of the league makes sure that the bottom feeders get better quicker so that they're not down there. Because the only way you're going to increase the volume and the value of your league is if your bottom teams are getting richer, not your 1% at the top. It's the bottom of the league. They're concerned about the New Orleanses. They're concerned about the Tennessees. They want them to get better fast. Dude, again, that's not how it works. They don't give a shit about the fans. The fans are built in now. You're like wrestling fans. Do you understand this? The NFL treats you like WWE. You're not going to get this. The league could do this to your face. Hey, Philly, fuck you. And you'll still tune in on Sundays. That's how arrogant they are. They don't want, dude, I got to tell you one more time. I started the show on it. I went back and listened to that Nicole Lynn interview about Jaylen Hurts. Hurts made sure that before the contract was signed, he sat there and had that contract explained to him. Okay? Explain to him, making sure that they were going to be able to do what? Give extensions to other guys on the team. That's why that guy got that, in my opinion. That's why he got that no trade. Controlled his own destiny. He hooked him up by not taking all that cash up front. He could have took more. So they said, thanks. Fuck yeah. You're not sending me to the Jets. The script is planned. The deal is real. Hey, I dig that. All right. Dude, a lot of fun today. I got this list here. I'm going to go over it with Xander here. By the way, don't forget, our billionaire sports enthusiast, John Morgan's going to join us at 4:30. I looked something up about John Morgan. You ready for this? Morgan & Morgan is the third most. Here, how do I say it? They spend the third most amount of money in advertising next to any corporation in America. It's like an insurance company and Amazon and them. This guy spends $400 million a year in advertising. Phew. Little old Sills. And then we got Joe Theismann. That'll be at 5:30. All right. One of the greatest weeks of the year. My boy Big Z knows it too. Hey, man, I'll tell you what. I love fireworks, food, and family. And this is what the 4th is. And all of us are having a great time. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Please hit that like button. Supers go to the top 2. We'll do that without further ado. The man, the myth, the legend. He's killing it on Bird 365. My friend, Big Zay, Xander Krause. How you doing, bro?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
I love this week, no?
Yeah, great week, man. Great week all around. Great week for the country. Great week. Get together with some family. Get out in the sunshine. Big Sills. It's always a good week, man, in July.
It really is, man. I dig it a lot. All right, I'm going to do my list of 10. I'll explain here in a minute. But I want to ask you this. Hurts by the numbers. What are you going to expect this year with this? So let me read them to you. Hurts finished 24, 20th in yards, 25th in attempts, 22nd in completions, 8th in completion percentage, 20th in TDs, 11th in sacks, and his rating was 5th. What are you looking at in 2024? Because I heard you guys talking. Here's what I got to tell you, Xander, about, bro, I don't believe anybody can stop your run game. Why do you want to increase the passing?
Do they want to? Or are we
Why
assuming?
would you?
Are we assuming, Do we want to?
I don't believe okay, I don't believe Kansas City can stop you.
Well, to what extent do you think teams are going to come out and force the team to throw the ball?
Will it matter?
It won't matter, but that would insinuate you're going to have to throw the ball to win.
I don't believe you can stop me.
Well, they did stop them in the Super Bowl in terms of the run game.
One game.
I'm just saying, if that applies to more games this year because of the film that we put on tape, you're going to need the passing game to do what they did in the Super Bowl consistently in those games. Now, I think they're going to do it, but I understand where you're coming from. If they can't stop it, why do it? But I don't know. How much time are teams going to spend trying to take away Saquon? I think a lot.
Go ahead. Hey, that'd be like me telling Mike Tyson, hey, don't throw haymakers. We want you to box. Don't throw the big knockout punch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I mean, George Foreman, that dude's out of 24 and 44. He didn't do it. Remember what George said? Don't you think this is the philosophy that the Eagles have? I'm not looking to win quarters. I'm looking to win the game. And that means me wearing you out. Dude, I don't want them to get into a passing attack where, get this, all of a sudden you start going finesse again. Didn't we say a little bit about the 23 team that they started looking too finesse? I mean, I just said, run the ball, man. Now, 800 carries, I don't care if his wheels fall off. If they win 2 Super Bowls in a row, Saquon, thank you very much. And I'll see you in Canton if you get $2,000 again.
Yeah, really.
I don't really give a shit.
Yeah,
this is about winning football games here. All right. I wrote 10 things down, Xander. If you want to repeat as Super Bowl champions, I said this, and let's start it off with Jaylen Hurts. I think Hurts has to do a little bit more what you said. I think Jaylen has to be more. I think he has to be more involved on a week-to-week conversation. And I don't want to make it sound like he wasn't involved at all a year ago, because he was, obviously, in the run game. I need that guy to make 4 or 5 big plays in a game, and that's it. I don't need him to be any more. I don't want to rely on one guy. I don't want to see the 30th ranked offense. I want to see more explosion. The one thing they don't do anymore? They don't throw the ball deep. They just got away from that. They went completely away from it.
I don't think they threw the ball deep in intricate ways, but they did throw the ball deep. I mean, they had a lot of deep throws to A.J. Brown last year. I mean, me and John joked all year. That's all they got in terms of when Jaylen identifies the blitz at the line of scrimmage. He just looked over at A.J. and said, yo, dude, go long, go route. And he tossed him up. I don't really agree that they didn't throw the ball deep.
They were 25th in attempts. How could they be really?
Well, that's because they ran the ball so effectively.
Yeah, but I know. But I mean, to sit there and say that they were a deep passing game
Well,
when you're
no, I'm just
25th in
saying, I don't think they
attempts.
removed it completely. I mean, they did throw the ball deep, in terms of if a given quarterback throws the ball 30 times a game and they throw the ball 5 or whatever it is times a game, I don't know what the percentage would be, but I think the Eagles' percentage of throwing deep is probably comparable to the rest of the league.
All right, let me go down with this one here. Are you concerned with this style of play that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and the health of them this year? When you run the ball so much, if you're going to run the ball over 400 times again, don't you have concerns with those guys blocking? It's $51 million in receivers. I mean, I get it. I mean, and they don't have a problem. They've never bitched about it, because I've never even heard AJ bitch about blocking. But do you not think that takes its toll also on the wideouts blocking in the run game?
Well, you've been talking about this. I mean, and it would, the data would show you that whether they were injured blocking or not, the data would bear in your favor in terms of AJ and Devontae both missed games last year in one of the most run heavy, seasons of the year. Now, I would push back and say the time AJ was hurt was actually the time that they weren't running the ball. But, I do bring up the thing that you used to always do that,
Yeah.
So I do think that has a factor in on this, but I think AJ Brown is good. And again, we can't legislate that, so I don't want to predict that they're going to get injured. I think over time, you're probably putting some tread on the tires, but it doesn't mean the tire's going to pop. You know what I mean? It just means you might need to get new tires earlier than you thought. You know what I mean? Maybe that comes into play.
And that's the point. There's two things you can't legislate ever: injuries and turnovers. Some years they come, some years they don't come, and injuries are the same way. When people go, last year we led the NFL in interceptions. Well, I wouldn't use that as a metric for the following year, because that's just something that's a year-to-year thing. That's not a schematically given thing.
Well, sometimes I agree to a certain extent. Sometimes I think, if a quarterback plays like shit and it's just not accurate, you know what I mean? They're going to have more turnovers. So, but I hear what you're saying.
But I'm saying, like, defense, the reason why you didn't have a lot of turnovers on defense
turnovers on defense
is because you didn't have a guy like Gardner Johnson back there because of personnel.
Yeah, no, you're right then. That makes more sense.
Okay. Help me out on Dallas Goedert and why they brought him back. Is it more for the run game? Is it more for the pass game? Is it more for what? Because I want to know where they're going to define his role. Because as a matter of fact, Xander, you would make a comment. I don't really know what Goddard's role's been the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, with an offense like this, it is a little bit undefined, and I think a combination of all the things you just said is the truth of why they're bringing Goddard back. I think they always valued him, across all those sectors, but it had to be at the right price. They obviously made that clear. They weren't willing to pay him, what he was originally going to make, so he took a pay cut. But does it come back to we're losing a lot of guys on defense, and if we do want to have a chance to compete, we're going to need the offense to maybe, carry a little bit more water this year than they had to last year. And the best way to do that is not getting rid of Goddard. It would be bringing Goddard back. Now, maybe it's hard to define his role. Maybe you don't know exactly why. But the one thing I can guarantee you is that Grant Calcaterra is not better than Dallas Goedert.
No,
so bringing him back helps improve your chances at the offense doing what they need to do. And I think it's as simple as that. Honestly, I'm a Goddard guy. I've been hard on him in the past. There's been times where I said I thought he was overrated, but I think it's more about, him being on the field. When he is on the field, he's obviously one of the highly, a great tight end.
Top 5.
But if he can't stay on the field, that's a big problem. But I think he'll be on the field probably 12 games this year. I think we can guarantee 12 games. Maybe that's it. We'll see.
Number 6. I think your players are so good. And I think your players are so good on offense that I don't really give a shit as long as OC stays out of the way. That's his new name for me, is OC. I don't care. If OC stays out of the way, Kevin Patullo, bro, just get out of the way. Don't do anything stupid here, because your players are too good, right?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I kind of get that vibe from the quarterback as well. Like exactly how you just worded that. Like I kind of get the vibe from Jaylen where he's like, all right, like I'm so used to this damn turnover, like become a non-story to me. Just don't get in my way. Keep running the offense. Give me some good play calls, play play in and play out, and we'll make it work. Because he does have autonomy now at the line of scrimmage. So he will have the ability to change in and out of plays as long as I think Kevin is giving him good options and giving him, a good plays to get into. And I think he'll be in a good spot.
Wasn't it a year ago we heard this with Jaylen Hurts? Didn't he go, 95% of the offense has been changed here? And do you think, Xander, one of the reasons that they hired him, Kevin Patullo, from within is because they didn't want the changing of any kind of new voice coming in, because Kellen Moore created a little bit of a dynamic for Jaylen Hurts in the first 4 games of the season where it was somebody that was new coming in and they wanted a smoother transition. Do you think, again, I'm not saying that they wouldn't have hired Kellen because it totally worked out, but even Jaylen Hurts had a problem with the way Kellen Moore was communicating with him because he said it. And they just made it easier for Hurts. And that's what you're saying here is, hey, just get out of the way. We know one another. Nothing's going to be crazy here. We got the same. Barkley says the same thing. We got the recipe. We know what we're doing here. Let's not do it, because a year ago, Jaylen Hurts complained about the terminology when he said 95% of the offense.
He made that comment, and I do think you're right. Like I think he's dealing with that better, but I'm starting to get to a point where I'm wondering how much more effing terminology even exists that Jaylen hasn't had. I mean, this dude has had Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, Brian Dable, Mike Loxley, Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni, Kellen Moore, Shane Steichen. I mean, Brian Johnson. I'm like, this
Press
dude
Taylor
has been given every terminology that exists. No wonder he's more comfortable now. He's kind of like, Patullo, he's not going to mix up the apple cart that much. I mean, it can't be more than Kellen Moore was last year, and I have autonomy at the line of scrimmage anyway. So, I think he's much more comfortable now because he probably was told by the owner, we want to win Super Bowls. Yeah. And if you want to be successful, we're going to lose guys because we're a good organization and people want to poach from us. Right. Lincoln Riley, Deshae, that might be the one I forgot. But I think he's probably more comfortable now than ever.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think, you know what? Through all the issues of them changing out the coordinators, man, I think it's become an absolute positive. Like you said, I mean, this guy –
he's like quadlingual at this point, dog. This guy's got like every football language down.
Absolutely. So, Queasy, guess what? That guy should work at the UN. This guy's like a translator now of coordinating offenses in the NFL now.
You never know, man. Maybe you think politics are in Hurts' future. He showed a propensity to step outside his bounds, man. He might end up there.
Well, either that or Hollywood, because he's out there in Malibu now.
He'll be Hollywood, then he'll go like Schwarzenegger, like Hollywood, and then also politics.
Yeah, he's the new Terminator. I don't know. How about this number 7? Yeah, he's like the Terminator on the field. Okay, anyway, is there too many young guys?
There's a lot. Now, they are a special group of young guys in that they have achieved a lot for a group of young players. You probably couldn't put together a collection of guys this age across the rest of the NFL that had this many accolades as these guys have on any other team. So I'm not saying that means that it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows, but I do think they're slightly more experienced and capable of handling the moment for their age than maybe the average NFL player would be, but it's a lot. I mean, even last year, you had Slay, you had Gardner Johnson, you had some other dudes, Brandon Graham. Now they're really relying, right? Like Slay was the leader of the corners. Now you're relying on Quinyon. BG was, in theory, the leader of the defensive front guys. Now you're relying on Nolan and Jalix. Gardner Johnson was that loud veteran player in the secondary, more so even than Reed Blankenship. Now you're relying on Reed to help, Makuba and Brown and the other youngsters back there. So it is a lot of youth. Now, makes me feel good about the football field, but does it make me feel good about the things that are required to produce on the football field? Maybe a little queasy, but I feel all right about it.
How about this? These are first-year starters. Jalix Hunt, Moro Jomo, Trotter, Makuba, and Ringo. 5 new starters with no starting experience in pro football. I mean, boy, fuck, dude. None of these guys have ever started. I don't think Moro Jomo's ever started, right? I don't think he started. That's a lot. 5 dudes. You're going to have 6 new. Now, I think Steen has started. He started over on the offensive guard side. I think he had a couple games where he started.
Yeah, he started some.
Yeah.
Wasn't
These other
particularly
guys haven't.
great. I said he wasn't particularly great, but
No, but he's at least been in the fire of starting.
yeah, right.
5.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I feel confident in the young guys, but I will say it's not the most common thing where teams just get 25-year-olds and roll them out there, and that everything goes
25.
perfect. But
Some
again,
of these guys were 22.
we got a special group of players. We got special coaches. We got a special quarterback who has a mentality that makes up. And I mean that though, because like if you don't have the veteran presence on the field in your talent, you have to have it in other places. And Vic Fangio certainly suits that role on the defensive side as the coordinator, right? I mean, that guy's got enough experience for 10 players put together, for crying out loud. Jaylen Hurts is a different acting 27-year-old than a majority of people. The way he handles himself, the way he speaks, the slogans, but he does, he's proven to practice what he preaches to a large extent. So I'm not even ripping him, but, and then Sirianni has proven that he can connect with every different type of player. I mean, say what you want about how the front office felt about Gardner Johnson. I watched Gardner Johnson and Nick Sirianni cry in each other's arms like multiple times last year. So he can connect with that guy. He can connect with Jaylen Hurts, and he can connect with, Jalen Carter. They're all different types of players. And Nick Sirianni, man, I think he deserves more credit.
Yeah.
Come on, Brian Biddy.
Yeah. Oh, Nick.
Come on, Abe.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let Nick roast my ribs. I mean, but that's just me though. Okay. Anyway.
Dude, you're eating like dried out ribs, no sauce, no seasoning,
I don't
no
cook
salt,
my ribs.
pepper.
My old
You
lady
can't
does.
cook shit.
You bet I can't. My old lady does it. I'm not very good at it, and I'll burn my freaking house down.
Yeah.
So I'm not good at it.
Keep Sileo away from the grill.
Absolutely. I'm not allowed to fire in my hands.
I'm good on the grill, my friend.
Oh, that's great to hear, man. I wish I was. I'm just not good.
I don't. No, I mean, I like grilling out because it's like the aesthetic is nice, but like, people always rip me because I'm like, dude, I don't put a plate in the dishwasher. Like I grew up with a fully 100% Italian mom. Like she cooked, she's worked her whole life. She worked every single day. She came home, she fed all 4 of her kids, home cooked meals every night, loaded the day. Like she did everything. That's my mom. She was an Italian, Now my beautiful girlfriend's she's not Italian, and she's got some Italian in her, but she's not 100% like my mother. And she does everything for me. And her family looks at me like I'm fucking crazy. They're like, do you do anything in the kitchen? Do you load dishwashers? Do you cook at all? Do you do anything? I'm like, I really don't do any of that shit. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Hey, I'll tell you this. So my girlfriend, then now my wife, I took her back to Connecticut, and like my grandmother, man, used to take my socks, roll them up, put them together, put them in my top drawer. Yeah. My underwear here, my sheets were here. Everything was fucking perfect. My girlfriend, now wife, goes like this. This is fucking pathetic. She just couldn't get it.
Dude, you an Italian guardian. Hey, you get it, man. They spoil us. That's how it is. But I will say this. I was not this guy, Jack. I was actually the opposite. When I went to college and I had roommates, I was actually the opposite. And I didn't have a mother to do it for me. So that was the only time in my life where I did it. But, dude, my roommates were nuts. I mean, there was beer cans everywhere. I don't even drink. I didn't even drink like that in college. It's just like, oh, Jack. I mean, it's a nightmare. But it certainly wasn't my issue.
When I was in college, I had a girl named Lori LaRue come in and clean everything up, put it away.
That's funny.
That wasn't funny. Me, man. No way. Pizza boxes everywhere. Yeah, can you throw those away for me, please?
Yeah, please.
That's not working.
I need a room cleaning. I need a vacuuming. I need my sheets washed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not very good at any of that shit. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. That is.
You think Vic does it again?
Yeah. I think he does it. I don't know if I don't think he's
because of his track record, right?
I don't think he does it to the same extent. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to have another historic defense. I think we're going to be really good. I think we're going to exceed expectations. And I think even if we don't get to the promised land this year, I think we'll all feel really good about the young players that we have really made the future of the Philadelphia Eagles for the next 5 years. There are guys that we are all hoping pan out that are getting bigger roles this year that really could be here for the next 5, 7, 8 years, some of them. Maybe even longer in some cases with Cooper and Jalen Carter and Quinion. I could see those guys being 10-year guys in Philly. So I think Vic is going to do it again from a sense of you look at Ringo and you're like, he came to life. You look at the young guys on defense, Jahad Campbell, you look at Jalix Hunt, and I think you're going to feel really good about those guys. And maybe that results in a top 5 unit. But I think overall, I think Vic is going to really do a good job at getting these guys to where they need to be. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be the number 1 overall defense this year, although I think they have a chance. But I think they're going to be on the right direction.
I wonder if you'll follow this philosophy with me here.
Uh-oh.
I think they did a lot of this business. The way that they did this offseason was because, bro, the NFC stinks. I mean, the Lions took a step back in their O-line, coaching-wise, O-line. Minnesota took a step back. You don't know what the fuck they're doing at quarterback. You got a bunch of mercenaries in Chicago. How's that going to work? None of them are homegrown guys. You brought a bunch of dudes off the boat. How'd that work for you guys when you had the All-American team or that fucking Dream Team thing? How'd that work for them? Remember that thing fell apart fast. 49ers have a weak schedule and a bunch of weak dudes. The Cowboys, where'd they get better? George Pickens? Oh, shit. Really?
The commies are going backwards. I'm telling you, man.
The commies are. We'll talk to Joe Theismann. We'll get his take on that.
I'm telling you, man.
No, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to probably be again.
They're going to be good because they got.
But here they're going to have to depend on health because they're older. They're going to have to depend on health. How about this? They got to the NFC Championship game with lesser players, and they've upgraded. Okay? They upgraded. Hey, Prince, I'll tell you what I have for you, bro. I got something that's really nice and crusty right now, and I'm about to hand it to you. So hang on there. We'll get to your supers in a second here. So tell me where you think the NFC's good. And this is what I think the Eagles did. We're going to take a couple steps back in personnel here, but the rest of the NFC didn't get better.
They're nowhere close to us.
No, how about this? You took 2 steps back. The rest of the league, the rest of the NFC took 4.
Well, I don't know if
and you were so far ahead of them.
Some of them took steps up, but we were 6 steps ahead to begin with. So if the Rams took a step forward and we took 2 steps back, they're still 2 steps. Still 2 steps back on us, man. So,
dude, here are the teams that got better in the NFC.
And Rams,
okay? Rams. As much as you don't agree, we'll agree to disagree on Commanders. But then who else? Who else got better?
I don't know
NFC?
why. I think you. Knowing you,
no, because
and
I know that
Sileo-ization of your own, the Sileo-ization of yourself sometimes, where you have to believe your own lies.
I picked them,
and the way you've spoken about Jayden and all. You look at this Commanders team, and you're like, wait a second, they're geriatrics, they're old.
I wasn't really off that much with the Commanders. I said they'd win the East. They didn't, but
you were spot on last year. Your take on the Commanders was great last year, but
I said he would win the Rookie of the Year offensively, and he did.
Yeah, this is a new year, man. They didn't have Debo and Tunsil, and I mean, dude, these guys they could have four injuries and before week 3, they could be.
And he still took that shitty team to the NFC title game.
Well, you're not wrong about that, and that's where I think they do have the best chance is that if that kid takes another step like he did last year and he can handle the sophomore year better than a lot of quarterbacks do, then they'll have a good chance. But my estimation is that he's going to be he's going to be – I'm not saying Jane Daniels isn't going to be a great player. I think he's a great football player. But I don't think he's going to be able to take as sizable a jump as he needs to take with that team because of what other
But I
people
don't
are
think
going to
the
know about him now.
NFC's that good. I don't think the NFC's that good.
They're not. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC, and it's not really close.
Get this. The Eagles probably, with all those 5 first-time starters, bro, if they're decent, they're going to win 12 games. If they're better than decent, they're going to win more. Why? Because the NFC, dude, tell me who got better. The Rams? The Bucks? I don't know.
Rams, I'll give you commies. I mean, I'll give you them.
Okay, Rams,
Bucks are better. The Bucks are good. The Bucks are a sleeper team. I like the way the Bucks are building. They're kind of doing it slow and steady, but they have a good foundational team. They got a good offensive line. They have a solid quarterback who's only improved and had a really, really good year last year.
Really good running backs.
3 great wideouts. They have a solid defense with a defensive-minded head coach. They have the things I think you need to have a good foundation. So I do like the Bucks. But let's be real, they don't really scare me in terms of Super Bowl.
You're better. You're better than them.
Yeah, I mean, Lions are good, but I think the Lions got worse.
They did. They lost Ragnow, guard, and their coordinators.
Yeah, they're worse.
Okay, I mean, so my point is that Philly probably looked at it like this, bro. If you're not going to catch us, if you're going to catch Philly, it's this year, because the next 2 years after this. Dude, it's over.
Dude, and I don't see it this year. I mean, look, like this is a team. Like Abe brings up the Packers. I'm like, dude, like what are they doing? Like they were right there 2 years ago, and they never made the jump. Like this is where Howie's got all these GMs beat. Like when in 2021, when we went to the playoffs with Devontae Smith and trash cans as Jalen Reagor next to him and all these other bullshit receivers, Howie looked and said, "We got a chance. Let's make the jump." You got the Packers. They beat the shit out of the Cowboys in the playoffs a couple of years ago. Make the jump. Do something. What have they done? They haven't done shit. I don't know what the Packers are doing.
Okay, I got one more last one here for you. This is my defense. This is what I want to see on the field against the Dallas Cowboys. You ready? Week 1. Here's the players. I want Moro Jomo at end. Davis at nose. Jalen Carter at end. Nolan Smith at will. Inside left linebacker, Zach Bond. Right inside linebacker, I want Munden, because I'm going to do this to you guys. I'm sorry. Until somebody proves it to me. Campbell Nakobe is the only other guy, Nakobe. And Trotter. Bro, I've never seen Trotter in a starting or even a playing position. Just to assume he's going to be a good player when he's never started it down and he got very little reps is insane. To think he's going to be the starting inside linebacker versus the Dallas Cowboys game 1 when he's never even really played. This guy has no game experience. And he's going to do the opener against the Cowboys? Dude, he's not the athlete the kid from Georgia is. Now, the only other guy I'm putting in there would be Nakobe. And if he's not ready, I'm going to put the best available athlete in there. I just don't, again, there's a lot of love for Trotter. And I trust Vic. One position, that fucker knows better than anybody. It's clearly the linebacker position. That's his forte.
And the other thing is this, Sills, like if you are right, this is what I like the most about Vic. It's not that I trust him to get the most out of players. If you are right and somebody is better than Trotter, you already know they're gonna be on the field. He's not going to sit here and baby people around or pussyfoot around. If Trotter's not good enough and Munden is better or whatever, there's another option there. Guess what? Trotter's going to the bench.
That's right.
And that's what I like the most about Vic Fangio.
I got Jalen Hunt starting at strong side.
I'm a little surprised, by the way, that you're so out on Trotter. I just think you haven't seen it
yet.
Yet.
I'm not out. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, you're just not. You're not ready to have confidence.
No, I'm not ready to call him. I'm not ready to give him a spot that he's not earned yet.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he's never played it. I mean, he's played very little. Did he get into any games whatsoever a year ago even?
I think he got into a couple when we were blowing teams out because we put belt to ass on so many. I know he had some snaps in that NFC title game where the Washington Communists couldn't sniff our jock strap. Where's James Jones been? He's in hiding because he knows his team got worse. So, I think Trotter did get some snaps in some of those games, but nothing crazy.
Okay, here. In the depth chart, they got Azeez Ojulari. I'm like, no way. I'm putting Hunt in there, and I'm starting that guy over Azeez Ojulari. Why? Because he's bigger, and I believe he's a better run player than Ojulari is. So I'm putting his ass. That's who I don't want to see.
Who? Joshua Uchi?
None of those guys. Those guys are all rotation guys when it comes to third down. Now, my DBs are going to be different for you. Left cornerback, I've got Q. Here's my safeties. Reed and Cooper are my safeties. Now, when you go to nickel, obviously you move him back out and you put Tristan in. That's who Vic went to last year.
Sileo loves Tristan McCollum. Yeah,
so does Vic.
He's like your Ben Van Sumeren. He really is.
Wait a minute. Yeah, but Vic uses him.
He's your Benny Ben.
Who's the one guy Vic mentioned in his meeting when he was down at a press conference about a safety play? It was Tristan McCollum, wasn't it?
It was.
How you doing? And my right cornerback is Adoree Jackson. Until Keely Ringo shows me he can play, he's never started a fucking down. But we're going to light him up against CeeDee Lamb week 1. All right. Yeah.
Fuck CeeDee Lamb.
Hey, no. Guy's never started a down. He's playing against the second or third best receiver in football. All right. I don't really like CeeDee as much as like you like CeeDee. I don't know. I think he's a really good player. But do I think if I was going to pick a receiver to be on my team, when I pick CeeDee Lamb, that would have to be a no.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I do think he's a good player, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good player.
Anytime you have 135 catches in a year, you know what I mean? Like, you're getting open, man. I don't give a fuck. By the way, I don't give a fuck where you line up, okay? Because there's not that many receivers on that football team. When you're catching the ball 135 times, you're doing something right, okay?
Yeah, but get this, though. If you're catching 135 passes and you're a 5-win team, I don't know. I mean,
he had 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns, 135 catches. I mean,
and where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Yeah, but is that him?
No, but I mean,
let me ask you this: where would they have been without him?
Okay, let me ask you this: if the Dallas Cowboys don't make the playoffs and you pay CeeDee Lamb $36 million and the quarterback $60, and you paid Micah $40, what? That would be the ultimate Eagle fantasy. Is if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs and you pay all them guys that money, they'll be in holy hell.
Steve, look, remember I had this debate last year with everybody. Deshae, I'm sure you're going to side against me again. You think Devontae Smith's better than CeeDee Lamb?
No. But again, you're talking about an elite receiver in Smith. I mean, dude, there's a lot of elite receivers in the game today. There's a ton of elite receivers. Jamar Chase is elite. Jefferson's elite. I mean, Devontae Smith has the potential to be even more elite once he gets into the one role. Again, his biggest problem, Xander, when you're comparing him, you can't compare guys going against the lesser corners. You just can't. It's not, I mean.
Yeah, but can you hold that against CD for lining up in the slot?
You bet I do. That's one of the reasons I don't really want him on my team is because he does line up against safeties and the second worst corner on the field. Yes. That's why he's not like Jefferson blows that guy's doorknobs off. That guy's had Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold throwing him the ball, and he's on a historic Jerry Rice pace. I mean, come on.
Fredo brings up a good point. I mean, he says CeeDee Lamb never made the catches Devontae made. And you're right. Devontae's made some big catches, but Fredo, that's a little bit of a vanity metric because you great catches are nice, but that's the icing on the cake, right? You want a guy that produces play in and play out, that gets open play in and play out, and is a reliable target as a wide receiver. Now, I love Devontae Smith's catches. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Devontae doesn't do the other things well too. He does. But I'm saying that's not a perfect gauge to judge who's a better receiver, who's made the nicer catches. You know what I mean? It's not, and at least not in my opinion. I want the guy
who's
who's
more
consistent.
explosive?
Probably
I
CD.
think Devontae is.
I don't know. CD's pretty fast, man.
Who makes more explosive plays?
I don't know. I know that
Well,
CD.
I remember watching Devontae make plays in the back of the end zone. I mean, I see CD collecting a lot of garbage wide receiver numbers and catches. I don't really see that guy doing any of that. I don't. Okay. I mean, I just don't see that.
No, I don't either. You got Joe in the green room. Is Joe now or 5:30?
I thought Joe was 5:30.
Joe, I thought he was.
Yeah, because we got John Morgan coming up here at 4:30. So let me see if we can.
One second.
Let's double check here. Yeah, let's double check here. Yeah, I got 5:30.
Let me see.
I can't show you his phone number, but I got 5:30.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, let's
get me out of here. Let me.
All right,
I'll call. Let me just read these super chats real quick.
Okay, let's do the supers here.
Kyle says Sills and Xander. Everyone wants Brown and Smitty to get more yards, but I think the key is Goddard to get Goddard more involved. I'll text Joe. He just dropped it. I'll text him once I get off here. I think the key is to get Goddard more involved. Why do you say that, Kyle?
Well, because it'll improve the passing game, intermediate passing too.
Yeah, but like I said before, man, I don't want to get A.J. Brown the ball for any other reason other than that he is effing A.J. Brown, okay? Do the Bengals want to get Jamar Chase the ball? Do the Cowboys want to get CeeDee Lamb the ball? Do the Dolphins want to get Tyreek Hill the ball? Take your pick.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brown. Bro, get the ball in the hands of A.J. Brown.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Brown. Prince says, "What up, Prince?" Stills can't cook to save his life, but put a plate in front of him and suddenly he's Michelin starred at eating. At least learn how to grill, my guy.
Man, who wrote your jokes? The guy that Rodney Dangerfield fired? Holy shit, guy. Awful L. Big time L. How you doing? Thank you for the super though there.
Let me check text,
Prince.
Joe.
Let's see what we got going here, man.
Here we go. I got another one.
Okay.
Kimberly says, remember the names Elijah Griffin and Zayden Walker.
Who?
Probably Georgia guys.
Who? Okay. If Joe wants to do 5 o'clock, we can do that.
I just texted him. He read it. So let me see what he says.
Okay. The script is planned. The pain is real.
What do you think of what the Steelers did?
Well,
talk about some old heads.
They surely got older.
Talk about some old heads.
I mean, so you got Slay and Ramsey. Boy, I'll tell you, you better hope nobody gets hurt back there. And then you got a 41-year-old quarterback. Boy, it sounds like the Steelers. I mean,
Joe's good. He says they didn't change the clock at the club. I thought it was 5:30. I'll be good in an hour.
Oh, good. Fantastic. Because, that guy can jack on me a little bit and drop the hammer off the top rope.
He's always been good to me.
Yeah, that's good to hear that because that guy could get on people's asses.
Yeah, I know. You told me that once before. Yeah. That's good. All right, so it's a great show, man. I'll catch you tomorrow.
You got it. By the way, make sure you catch Xander out, and we will catch him on Birds 365. By the way, that's great. Joe Theismann will join us. That'll be at 5:30. We will talk to the former Super Bowl MVP, or excuse me, Super Bowl champion, former NFL MVP, and we will get his take. Now, the reason that I got John Morgan on, so the National Football League and the Players Association, this is right up John's lane. I want to read this before I bring John Morgan up. This is the National Football League's ruling, and I wanted to have John tell me what true collusion is. In a recent ruling, and this is from the Players Association, which I'm a member of, the NFL was found to have encouraged teams to reduce guaranteed money in veteran contracts, but the arbitrator dismissed the collusion case brought by the NFLPA due to insufficient evidence. However, the judge's ruling came down with this asterisk to it. The arbitrator's ruling explicitly stated, though, that the National Football League's Management Council, with the backing of the commissioner of the National Football League, Roger Goodell, encouraged clubs to reduce guaranteed contracts to veterans, which means this. It's nothing on paper, but the commissioner at the NFL owners meetings in 2022 was directing teams, general managers, to make sure let's keep costs down. So what did that mean? Players weren't getting the signing bonuses that Tom Brady said coming out of COVID. Remember, the salary cap didn't move, but owners' revenues went up, but the cap went down. Why did the cap go down and revenues go up? They were trying to keep the money down. So the NFLPA, along with the league, colluded against players. An independent lawsuit was filed by players. I want to get John's take because, folks, I will promise you this. The NFLPA is in bed with the owners. This is exactly what Gene Upshaw said years ago. Don't trust it. So let's bring our friend in, John Morgan. And John, I mean, this case tell me what collusion is, John. When you are in a courtroom and the players, again, I just laid it out for you that when the players were going for new contract extensions, and believe me, you can hear the ruling by the judge himself saying, hey, by the commissioner's own words, they were trying to keep salaries down. An independent lawsuit went against the league. Those guys won, and both sides have kept it under the table. What is collusion, John?
Well, collusion is when two parties really secretly rig the system. That's the Kentucky version of collusion. Okay. So, and it happens all the time in business. Look, billionaires become billionaires for a lot of reasons. About half of them inherit it and walk around and act like they hit a triple even though they were born on third base, and they're the worst kind of billionaire. And then there's the other kind that made it by being cutthroat business people. And when you're a cutthroat business person, you probably did a lot of collusion in your rise.
But John, I get owners wanting to, hey, John, you want to keep costs down. Every guy who owns a business wants to keep costs down. But if you got the Players Association in cahoots with the owners, this is more of a players and a union issue.
You got cops in cahoots with the mob. Don't be surprised. Don't be naive, Dan. I mean, when you got money, you got cahoots. Okay. And it doesn't matter if it's the players union or if it's the police in Philly or if it's the union steward at the plumbers and pipe fitters. Listen, all you need to do is go on to American Greed on CNBC and watch everything you want to know about cahoots and collusion and secrecy, because money. And then at the end, you always say, what do you say? Follow the money. So there could be somebody at the players union that's getting some payola. I don't know enough about this to speak about it, but I know what collusion is and I know why collusion happens. Money.
John, you are one of the fairest guys I know, and you give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove you wrong. Boy, I saw you with a scathing ripping of the Orlando Magic. And I'll tell you what, man, this Alex Martins, who I absolutely know who he is, and the DeVos family. I mean, John, let's start first before you get and we go to the DeVos family, but why? You just went knee deep. I mean, hey, folks, you got to read his Twitter. Go over to John Morgan's Twitter. John went so deep on this guy, he needed boots to get out. I mean, holy cow.
Well, listen, here's why I went deep on him. First of all, he came here and got a job as a PR flack. I mean, this guy knows nothing about athletics. I think he's the only boy in his elementary school to strike out in kickball. But so he gets a job as the PR, and who hires him? Pat Williams. Everybody in Philly knows Pat Williams because
Absolutely.
Sixers. Pat Williams makes this guy. What I have heard from Pat Williams when he was alive, because Pat Williams brought me the deal to bring Major League Baseball to Orlando, Pat Williams told me how he felt, I'm not going to go into details, betrayed, stabbed in the back, stabbed in the chest by Alex. I believe Pat Williams. And for me, Dan, loyalty is everything. Now you couple that. And listen, if you don't believe me, ask Carrie Coates, who worked there with them all. She was there with Pat, told me all this.
Pat Williams is one of the most respected men and friends in my life as well. And
right.
You can take it to the bank with Pat Williams.
Right. And so we have that. On the other hand, we then have Alex Martin. The only reason that the Magic have been successful, it's probably the worst sports franchise in the history of sports. They won the lottery with Shaq. Then they won the lottery and got Penny. And they had it all going. Then they blew it. The DeVos's blew it because they tried to lowball Shaq. They did. Shaq's not a guy that comes along ever 10 years. Shaq's a guy that comes along maybe ever 100 years. They blew it with Shaq. Blew it. Offered him $50 million. He ended up signing for $120. That's how far they were. They tried to lowball Shaq.
Wow.
So from the moment Shaq left, it has been like those luges in the Olympics, just downhill fast. And now what happens is, so they get in there. But it hasn't hurt the Magic. You know why? Because 80 million people come to Orlando every year. People from Boston, Philly, everywhere, they come and they buy tickets to watch their team beat the shit out of the Magic. So the Magic have been okay. All this under Alex Martin. He has overseen the most terrible sports franchise ever. He's an ingrate because what Pat told me and how Pat felt betrayed. And I just thought, you know what? I've been watching it and watching it, watching it. Pat just died. And I just wanted Alex Martins to know Pat told me and Carrie how hurt he was by you, who he made. And so, yes, the record speaks for itself. The Magic, since Shaq left, the sorriest team in sports. They basically became the Washington Generals of the NBA. You go on vacation, you go to Disney, you go see your team beat the fire out of the Orlando Magic. I mean, and then he's made all his money doing that. So I just have a problem with him as a person, and I have a problem with him as a basketball person because he's not a basketball person. Don't forget, under his deal, they hired a guy that did hockey. Remember the guy? Right. Remember the guy, the hockey guy?
Yep, the hockey guy they brought in.
It'd be like having me come in to run hockey. I don't even know. I just found out recently there's 3 periods instead of 2.
Yeah, but I trust you more, John. I'll tell you this. Well, let me ask you about the DeVos family now. I mean, are you a fans of the DeVos family and how they've run that franchise? Because again, like you said, John, I mean, I was there in that area for 15 years, and I just never felt that was a community-oriented sports team.
They're not from here. They live in Michigan. Look, they made their money with Amway. What is Amway?
Right.
Amway's a pyramid scheme. where everybody buys toothpaste that tastes like shit, dishwashing detergent doesn't really work well, but everybody's making money on everybody else, and they made a lot of money. But they live in Michigan, and the old man had a new heart, and he wasn't watching it. And they were making so much money. They were making so much money because of the 80 million tourists that they didn't have to field a decent team. And so, you know, and do I fault them for that? I don't know. They're business people. I mean, they're selling toothpaste that tastes like chalk. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had an Amway product?
No.
Just go get a bar of soap. Just try to get it to lather up. I mean,
when I think of Amway, I think of spam. I don't know.
I think a scam, and it's a pyramid scheme. It's a pyramid.
Did you ever think, John, of buying the Magic?
No, I didn't have any money. But I mean, I just made money recently. I didn't think about buying it. When they first started putting together, a friend of mine in town, Jimmy Hewitt, he had a bunch of us. He was trying to make it a big limited partnership with everybody putting in money, and we all were thinking about, but it was little money. Then the NBA said, Jimmy, we need a main guy. We can't have all these cats. We need one big guy. And he went and got a guy named DuPont.
Yeah.
And DuPont, you know, was another guy who was born with a silver spoon stuck up his ass. And he came down here and he took over the team, and he basically blew all of his money.
Didn't the Disneys have something to do with it too? Wasn't there a Disney guy that was involved in management with the Magic? I thought there was a guy back in the day that was involved.
Well, maybe not the Disney family, maybe the Disney that has the healthcare company.
Yeah, that guy.
He might have been, yeah, because my wife was his lawyer. But there was a bunch of limited partners. Jimmy Hewitt did real estate deals with limited partners, and he was taking the same formula to do the Magic. So I'm trying to think of Disney's first name. He married.
Was it Ron?
No, it's Mike Disney's his brother, and Don Disney.
Don Disney. That's right. That's the guy's name.
Yeah, Don Disney and Jim English. They owned hospital chains, and Mike English actually invested in my first WonderWorks. But so the Magic have been lucky because they're in Orlando, and Alex Martin is not a basketball guy. I mean, he spends more time worried about his hair than he does worrying about the roster. And he doesn't know dick about basketball. I mean, listen, Scott Skiles resigned, and Scotty called me up. I said, because Scott had a shooting coach, and Alex came in and overruled Scott Skiles. And Skiles called me, and I said, Scott, you know, I said, you know, well, I'm not going to say what I said, but Scott Skiles just walked off the job.
He did.
Just walked off the job.
Here for that. He did just walked off the job.
Because they, from up top, they came in and told Scott Skiles, you're going to have this shooting coach. Scott Skiles, it was one of the great shooters of all time, one of the great assist leaders, Michigan State. I mean, he knows basketball, but they tried to meddle with his stuff, and they just screwed the team up. So I gave my tickets away a long time ago. I haven't been into a Magic game, I don't know, since Christ was a baby. And, you know, don't care to go. Now, I will tell you this, Mosley, the coach, he's good. And Mosley's kids play basketball with my grandchildren in Winter Park. And Mosley's good. And my son Dan, who I named after you, he's really good friends with, what's the guy, Paulo? What's the guy from Duke? Paulo, you know his name. But anyway, They're in a good. The Magic's in a good position right now. Look, the great thing about the Magic is Alex is moving on to some kind of chairman, in charge of whatever. But he got lucky because he hooked up with his family who had all this money. They didn't live in the community. They didn't need to win. They made a lot of money. They got a new arena, but it had nothing to do with Alex Martin.
Absolutely. John, 2 questions for you. Here, do you know anything about Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the?
I know who he is. I mean,
I know he's a big donor on the Democratic Party. I know that, he supported Kamala Harris and all. And I was just wondering, because here's an owner that he spends the money, he makes the hires that are correct. He wants to win constantly. He's got a great environment. And John, he really does. From Andy Reid, get this, since 2000, every single coach that he has had, whatever it's been Andy Reid or it's been Doug Peterson, every coach has a winning record. Even the one that failed, Chip Kelly, every guy has had a winning record. It's a true testament to what they're doing right and Dallas isn't doing right because they can't get it right in Dallas. But this guy's getting it right in Philly.
Look, he's got it right. The Kansas City Chiefs got it right. They got it right. They got a rich kid that owns the team, but he gives the deal to gave the deal to Andy Reid.
That's right, Clark Hunt.
Yeah, I just said you do it. The Patriots have done it right, but they got lucky because they had Tom Brady. They had Shaquille O'Neal. Lurie, to me, runs the team where it's city first.
Yeah.
And then him second. And I think, and listen, by the way, if you're not making those Philly fans, Silver Lining Playbook, man, I can watch that thing over and over.
Me too, man. I don't know what it is. It's like a chick's movie, but I watch it all the time. I dig it.
When De Niro gets kicked out of the stadium, man, I'm like, let's see that again. And then, but listen, I was at the Philly fans are the greatest in the world, and I'll tell you why. I went to the Super Bowl in Jacksonville where Philadelphia got beat. My kids were little. I took all my kids. Paul McCartney played at halftime. I read that day that the city of Philadelphia, in the month leading up to the Super Bowl, had taken out more third mortgages in the history of America. And why were they taking out third mortgages? They were coming to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
How about that statistic? They never had third mortgages like that, but by God, they were coming to. Now, the bad news is they got third mortgages and then the Eagles lost. I was there. It was cold. It was cold as shit. My daughter still has the blanket I bought her from the Super Bowl. But the Philadelphia fans, if they're not the greatest in the world, I don't know who is.
I don't either, man.
I don't know the intensity. The intensity is second to none. And Lurie is the owner you want to satisfy that fan base, in my opinion.
Yes. No, he's great. John, he's absolutely taken that franchise over from Norman Brayman, who owned it, and absolutely put it in the right direction here.
Well, Norman was he needed money, and
Buddy Ryan used to call him the yachtsman. The Frenchman, because he was always on the French Riviera.
Right.
And Buddy Ryan used to just go, yeah, you have to ask the Frenchman if we're going to hire anybody here. So Buddy was crazy. I got one last one for you, John. John, I had a conversation this morning with Derek Brooks. And you tell me, I said this, and I know you are close to UCF, USF. I made this comment, FIU, FAU. John, I made this point. Those programs are never going to win a national title. I don't care what you do. I don't care what people think. They're never going to have the committee put those. You couldn't get FSU into the playoff. How are you going to get UCF or USF? What are you playing for? What's the point? if
I
the
don't
system
think,
is
I
rigged,
think the national championship is really the SEC.
me
now.
too.
I don't think. I think you bring Ohio State and Michigan in, and that's the whole. That's college playoffs now. UCF brought back this coach who did do well, left, and now he's back for a paycheck. No, I mean, look, in NIL, they're not going to be able to compete with NIL money. They're just not.
Right.
They're not going to be able to compete. There's too many big oilmen in Texas and Oklahoma. There's too many fat cats. You know, in UCF, we got a buddy of mine who's kind of the fattest fat cat out there, Ken Dixon. But Ken ain't going to put up money for sports. And I don't – I mean, USF, FIU, FAU, all of them, they play. Who cares?
That's right. SEC ball.
Hey, think about this. I've been here since I'm 14 years old. Do you know how many UCF football games I've ever been to?
Don't tell me none.
0.
Oh my. Well, that's because, wait a minute, John. That's because
0.
Wait a minute.
Gator. I'm a Gator, yes. But I'm just talking about 0 interest.
Yeah,
I have more interest in going to see a high school game.
Wait. So you're gonna Coach Dickey, what's his name? Charlie Pell, Coach Hall, all them guys. Those guys are knocking on your door, though, John. Hey, John, how you doing? I mean, are you a Bull Gator, John?
I was when my kids were there because I wanted, good seats and parking and all that. And, then I became a Bull Gator. Then I'd go have a big barbecue, and my kids were in fraternities and sororities. They'd come by the barbecue for like 3 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I got to see, you're leaving now? Oh, okay. I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I'm not a guy that likes to, sit in stands. I like to sit inside in a big couch with a cocktail and my own popcorn at the beach looking out. And when the game gets out of hand, turn it off. When we start losing big, turn it off. I did do it. All 4 of my children were Gators. So I was a Bull Gator for all that. I had the parking, I had the seats.
And your own popcorn bowl. I learned something about John Morgan today. So if we're ever over at the house again, don't ever reach into the popcorn bowl because that's set up for John Morgan.
Right? I share it. No, I share it. I do Orville Redenbacher, and I pop it, and then I give some butter, and I pour it over, and then I shake it up like this, and then I pour some more butter over it, and then I salt it, and then I shake it, and then I put it out. And you guys are just grabbing. I mean, just grabbing. Your hands are full of butter. You're licking your hands when you're done eating the popcorn. When you come to my house, you will have the greatest popcorn in your life.
Well, I'll be there this fall for sure because we're going to be in the area of this coming fall. John, it is so great to catch up with you, man. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, when you jumped off the diving board on that executive from the Magic, I'm like, okay, I got it. I mean, that poor guy, man. Hey, seriously, that guy's got black and blue marks on the back of his neck right now from you.
Well, he's got black and blue marks on his knees from years of, servicing the DeVos family.
Oh, my God. John, I will catch you soon. Thank you so much, my friend.
See ya.
That's awesome, man. Holy cow. Yes, sir. You don't want that guy on your ass. Holy cow. He's got black and blue marks from being on his knees with the DeVos family. Hey, you know what? If we could have a soundbite from that with John Morgan saying that about, if I'm not mistaken, one of the DeVosses is in the Trump administration too. Yeah. I mean, hey, by the way, to go on a lighter note, we'll have Joe Theismann. He'll be with us at 5:30 Eastern. Yeah. Yeah, I've been invited to the Morgan house this fall with my family. And by the way, get this. I think he invited us to Hawaii. So he invited us to the Hawaii house. So we'll be in Hawaii, I believe. All we have to do is get on an airplane. He said he'd take care of the rest. So, yes. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Got here. Abe, Sills or Xander, can we expect more dime packages since we are deep in the linebacker room with Dean's injury? Well, you're most of the time, 70% of the time, you're a nickel. You're a nickel anyway, Abe. Okay? The Running Game 80s movie, Richard Dawson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love that. Yeah, hey, John is a huge Gator fan. Okay? He is a massive Gator guy. So this is not getting on a plane. I might. Xander, what do you think the chances of me getting on an airplane? High, low? Oh my God, 1%. What kind of guy is that? I'm looking for backing in this bitch. Never get it, man. Oh, I'm on an island here. What are we doing? Once anybody who has a familiar with the Swamp. Hey, dude, let me just say this to you, man. The hardest game I ever played was at Florida. Was that Florida? Right. Okay, Kimberly. All right. It was 120 degrees on the AstroTurf, and it was overcast. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. 120. The underneath of my feet were peeling. The skin peeled off. My shoes peeled. My Sharks, my AstroTurf shoes, they were peeling and melting. I do like him. I think the Gators have the toughest schedule in the country. For them to win 8 ball games would be a lot. If you look at their schedule, it's the toughest schedule in the country. I like Florida. Their old line's pretty good. Okay. I had a recruiting trip to Florida, sat behind the hedges with all the recruits. Game was against Kentucky. That stadium is so loud. I'll tell you this, Josh, what was crazy cool. By the way, that's a pretty good recruiting trip. You see the wall behind me? Like, when you have the visiting bleachers or the seats where you're sitting on the bench there, it's that close. And they're screaming at you, and it's 85,000 people. And they're screaming at you. And by the end of the game, didn't realize that you were screaming. You lost your voice because you would get right up to the guy talking to him because you couldn't hear each other. You had to go silent count when you were doing snap counts in there because it was so freaking loud. I've never played in a tougher environment with louder fans in my life than playing at the Swamp. Incredible atmosphere. And back then, they didn't have the grass. They had the AstroTurf. Bro, I love Philly, man. You guys are awesome. Okay? I love the wall of sills. Got my medal there from the California games. See that bad puppy that's weightlifting? I got second. There was a strong, there was one of the world champion weightlifters. I got second. My cane helmet, Miami gave me a new jersey. The helmets I wore, that's my first day as a pro. Vince Papali gave me that. Xander gave me that as a great gift. Yep. Yes, it would, Ron. Let's see here. I had a recruiting trip that ended with a shaved head and dudes yelling at me. Hilarious. I went to a recruiting trip when I went to the University of Minnesota. Don't ask me why I went there, but I did. I went on a recruiting trip to the University of Minnesota. I got into a fist fight with the captain of the team, and I beat his ass. Yeah, that didn't end well. Yeah. My other trip to Notre Dame, the guy told me to jump up and touch the rim. And Joe Theismann's coming on at the bottom of the hour. And they told me to jump up and touch the rim. Jerry Fouts wanted me. I said, I'm not jumping up and touching shit. I said, you could put me back on a bus. They did. They put me on a bus and sent me back to Connecticut. My nuns were so pissed off at me. You did not respect Notre Dame? You had a chance to go to Notre Dame. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, I don't want to go to Notre Dame. And so when we beat them 58-7, the biggest ass beating in the history of Notre Dame football, it was the greatest moment in my life. I go back to like a Thanksgiving game, and the nuns are going, you're on that Miami team now, right? And I go, yeah. How could you beat Notre Dame like that and embarrass them? Whoa. What do you mean? You beat them 58-7. I'm like, well, yeah, and why did you guys run the score up on them? I go, because we wanted to. We run the score up on everybody. That's a you problem if you can't stop us. Oh, yeah, we were a Sherman tank. If you didn't want the score run up on you, you better play 4 quarters of football, no matter what the score is, or we're going to run the score up on you. And we did. Jimmy Johnson ran the score up on everybody. And if we had a chance to put a 50 burger on you, we were going to. If we were going to put a 100 burger on you, we were. The only way we didn't run the score up on you is if we had shutouts. And we had 4 one year. And we were like, yeah, we'll lay up off you a little bit if we got a shutout going. But if you can't stop us, we're going to put 100 points on you. That Barry Switzer had the same mentality. Okay? Yeah, my game started that rivalry. We got Notre Dame, by the way, August 31st. I got to tell you, Xander says there's a 1% chance of me getting on an airplane. Mario Cristobal wants me on that airplane for that Notre Dame game. And it's down in South Florida, too. Okay, it's Notre Dame, Miami, August 31st. I am not missing that game. I like Notre Dame, but they've been running up the score on teams for years. Oh, they used to kill us 77-0. When Theismann played, they were murdering teams. Get this. What do you mean am I still cool with Jimmy? Jimmy's been on this program. Xander, put in the box here. How many times do you think Jimmy Johnson's been on this program? I'm trying to be cool with Jimmy because he's in retirement now. How many times do you guys think Jimmy Johnson's been on this show? What do you guys think? How many times do you think Jimmy Johnson has been on this show? What would you put as a number? And how many times you guys have seen him? 7? Probably 7 or 8 times. I think it's 7. I think it's like 7 times in 4 years that he's been on. He'll be on again first week of the season. 7 or 8? Yeah. Coach Johnson and I are exceptionally close. Okay? Yeah, like that. Yeah. Love Coach. Coach and I are very close. Still to this day, very close. All right. I got to take a timeout before we get Joe Theismann on, because Joe's going to go a little bit here for us. So I got to take a timeout here, which means this. We just saw John Morgan from Morgan & Morgan, the company that he and Ultima built. And we're so proud to be part of this company and the fact that they support our program, and they have for 25 years. With over $30 billion recovered, one of the most important things is you got to remember, the reason they're number one is because they win. And here's the most important thing, too. If you're ever injured, anything, call them. You know why? They don't get paid unless you win. That's right. Unless you win. That's how they get paid. They don't charge you a fee and just go, oh, by the way, and then the case gets lost. That's the greatest thing about it. If you win, they get paid. If you don't, you at least try to hold people accountable. So if you're ever injured, Uber, anything, insurance companies taking advantage of you. This is a family-owned company. I've known them for over 25 years. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529, and do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I need you. Please hit the like button. Supers go to the top. Joe Theismann, bottom of the hour. I'm going to vote for something here in about 2 months. And I want your help. It's an NFL Players Association vote. And I'm going to leave it to you guys. I'll show you my ballot. And I need your help on this. Are you in favor of an 18th game? Do you want to see an 18th game? Couple things there. I'll sell it, but I want something in return. Do you guys want an 18th game? Don't you think after a while, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever games, it's getting a little saturated? See, I'm with Steve. I mean, they're getting beat up on 17. 18? Now, I'm assuming they'll take that last or one of those preseason games away. Wow, I'm shocked. Even the fans. I'm truly asking you. Do you want to see an 18th game? Because listen here, folks. If you vote for the 18th, in 5 years it'll get to 20. Now, it means more money, probably expanded rosters, maybe another bye week. It's more football, though. So instead of going into February, you're going to be going into maybe March. So you'll go from September to March. January, February, September, October, November, December, January. Wow. 6 months of football. Those games are brutal. You know, it's funny. The only people that never get asked this question are the fans. Do you want it? You're the people that tune on your television sets for the NFL to make money. I mean, look, going to games is fun and shit. It is. I mean, I tell you all the time, going to games, the NFL, it's kind of a gimmick now because they get all their money from TV. They don't get their money from attendance. It's the only sport that really doesn't get attendance money because think about this. Major League Baseball, if the Phillies go to the World Series and the Phillies win the World Series, do you know how they're paid? They're paid on attendance from the postseason. That's what their shares are. Their shares are based on attendance. It's not based on TV. Okay? NFL, that's not how they're paid. They're not paid on attendance. They're paid on television. Shit, I'm with you guys. I thought 16 was great. 16 made it, you know, like, look here. Like, you see the expansion of the college football playoff? So what am I going to see? Shittier football in the opening rounds? That's not what I'm looking for. You want to know how you get better football? Gabby, how about this, Gabby? Get this here. You know how you get better football? Here, watch this. Here's how I would do it. By the way, Joe Theismann, Super Bowl champion and MVP of the National Football League, will join us. We're going to talk a little Commanders, the number one potential obstacle for the Eagles in the NFC East. So let me show you this here. Let's go here. This is how I would pick the NFL. Let's go to standings, okay? And this is how I would propose it. Let's see here. It's interesting how you guys are looking at this. I won't lie. So let's see. Number one seed would be Kansas City Chiefs. KC. The Lions. Then you go where? The Eagles. Philly. Anybody else with 14? Minnesota Vikings. Who's got 13? Buffalo. Let's see here. Who's got another 13? Anybody else with 13? Okay, let's go to 12. 12 wins. Baltimore. 7. Let's see here. Washington. Let's go to 11 now. Let's go to 11 wins. LA Chargers. Let's go to Green Bay. Then you go to 10. Okay. Then you have Houston. Then you have Denver. Then you have Tampa Bay. Then you have the Rams. Then you have Seattle. So here would have been your playoffs. This is what I'm proposing. Okay? This is the best football you can have. Kansas City, Detroit, Philly, and Minnesota would have the byes in the opening round. Best 14 teams. I don't care what division, what conference you're in. KC, Detroit, Philly, Minnesota, Buffalo, Baltimore, Washington, Chargers, Green Bay, Houston, Denver, Tampa Bay, Rams, and Seattle. Best 14 teams. Why do I want to see an 8-9 football team from the NFC South? I don't. Get rid of preseason either way. Fans don't care about it. It's just for depth. Probably would have added a season game for money. How about this, JD3? When you go in the Eagles, and the Eagles give you an opportunity for season tickets, you want to hear something crazy? The preseason games are part of the season ticket package, and they charge you full price. It's the biggest ripoff in professional sports for tickets. If you buy a season ticket package, you've got to buy the preseason games at full price. You don't get a discount. And you get players that never play during the regular season. You're forced to pay for preseason football. Fans don't want to pay for preseason football. It's less than minor leagues. And if you want to buy it, you have to pay for it. Right, get this. They're asking you, JD3, to pay full price. And they're not giving you A-plus talent. They're giving you C talent. And they're making you pay A-plus prices for something that's not A-plus. And they've been doing it for decades. It's part of it's part of your season ticket package. By the way, just keeping score here. Have the Eagles, have they raised ticket prices yet? They're going to. Have they raised ticket prices? Now, I will say this. If I were a Philadelphia Eagle fan and they raised ticket prices on me, would I bitch about it? I'd probably complain about it, but I would pay it. Why? Because they win. I'm not paying for ticket prices in Cleveland. But did you see what they're doing to? Cleveland's going to get a brand new stadium. And they've had the worst record since 2000. Since they moved back. They've got the worst record in football. And they're getting a new stadium. And the Eagles have an outdated facility, that NovaCare Center. I've heard a boatload of people tell me that it's outdated. Now, I don't know what kind of tax money or referendum they're going to put in front of you. But again, I said this to the Tampa folks because renovations are going on Raymond James. And I was asked, am I going to support that? I said, yeah, the Bucs deliver a championship. I want to show you guys something about the city of Tampa. I do a radio show in Tampa in the mornings now. Some of you know. This is my favorite show, though. I want to make it very clear to you. This is my bread and butter. I love what I'm doing there, but again, it's okay. And people wanted to hear me back on the radio again. That's cool. Okay? It's all good. Get this. Tampa's a fake city. What's funny, every single one of their sports teams are going to be in the playoffs. Are yours? The Lightning have won 2 Stanley Cups in the last 5 years. The Rays have been in the playoffs and will be again and the Bucks are in the playoffs and beat you. How many cities do you think could say that all three organizations are playoff teams? You can't. The Flyers are not very good. The Phillies are good. The Eagles are good. The Sixers stink. So you show me another city that's got all three of its, they don't have four, they don't have a hoop team, that has great management. How is it outdated? Okay. Now, you're right. This is a manufactured thing. Because I hear John McMullen say this all the time, that NovaCare is outdated. You know how it's outdated? I guess if it's 20 years or older, or 25 years older, it becomes outdated. Even though Arrowhead's not outdated. And Arrowhead has been there since the 70s. Now, Arrowhead is in need of retrofitting because, again, and I don't believe they should move, and they're not going to move, it looks like. Tampa has a better basketball team than Philly, not even close. And they don't even have one. Right on. So when my stepdad was still in the Marines, he had Franco Harris in his office, and he asked about the reception call. He said it came from upstairs. It's true. The Immaculate Reception was this. It was off of Frenchie Fuqua. It was totally not a legal pass. It couldn't hit a player on your side of the offense first, and then you rebound and catch it. That were illegal. They said it went off of Tatum. And John Madden told me, and so did Al Davis. It was completely, the referees said it was an incomplete pass, and it was an illegal pass. It was actually a penalty. And Park Avenue called and said, no, Steelers. And they reversed the call right there on the spot. And the Steelers would end up going on to win the Super Bowl. And they hosed the Raiders. That's why if you look in 76, when Commissioner Rozelle gave Al Davis his trophy for the first time, Al never looked him in the face because he thought 2 years earlier he had jobbed him in that call. And there was always a contentious relationship between Pete Rozelle. I met Pete Rozelle. I had to go meet him because my contract, like I told you guys yesterday, my contract was in question because I was a free agent. I told you this yesterday. It comes out we weren't. They made me go into a draft. I thought I was a free agent. I was going to go to the highest bidder. I mean, I had teams lined up already and what they were going to pay me. And I was like, great. And the NFL came in and went, no way. And they put me in a draft with Bosworth and Chris Carter. I thought we had it. I mean, I had like the fifth pick money. And we had all these deals in front of us. I had like 7-8 deals in front of me. For 3 years, $3 million, or no, I'll take that back. It was 3 years, $2 million, 2-1, 2-2, something like that. Yeah. And Rozelle called me personally and said, listen, I need you to come up to New York. And I go, for what? He goes, we don't believe you're a free agent. I said, well, nobody drafted me. Yeah, but nobody knew you were available. And I didn't either. I thought I had another year eligibility. So they called and we flew up. I had an attorney, Randy Fataha, as I told you. We flew up. I go into Roselle's office and there he is. And I was going to bring Robustelli with me, but I didn't. So I walk in his office. I sit down and he goes, listen here, man, you're not a free agent. I said, well, that's what my attorneys are telling me. I'm a free agent. Do you want to play for the Bucks? I said, I want to play for anybody. And he's like, well, you have to go into a draft. I said, well, I don't believe he goes, well, we're telling you. I go, you're telling me he's not a legal phrase, I think. And me and him had I was like, yeah, well, I don't think that You know that hugging of the commissioner? I don't know when that came in because nobody hugged Rozelle. Pete wasn't like that. I've met him numerous times, but this was pretty contentious. I'm in there, and I'm like, I'm a free agent. Yeah, Paul Tagliabue was in there. And I'm going, I'm a free agent. And they were trying to tell me I wasn't. I'm like, I'll see you in court. Google it. Sileo takes the NFL. Here, I'll read you a headline. I don't even watch this. Sileo sues the NFL. NFL. Sileo sues NFL. Here. This is just Google. Yes, Dan Sileo, former NFL player, was involved in a lawsuit against the NFL. In September of 1987, after being deemed ineligible to return to play for his college team, Sileo claimed he was a free agent since he didn't enter the 86 NFL draft. He then signed with the Buccaneers. The NFL, however, declared his contract invalid and placed him in the 87 supplemental draft. Sileo initially sued the NFL and the Bucs to enforce his original contract. Ultimately, he submitted to the supplemental draft where he was selected by the Buccaneers in the third round. The lawsuit stemmed from a dispute about Sileo's eligibility and draft status for the NFL. Yeah. There's a bunch of headlines. Sileo sues the NFL. I did. I was in that guy's office. They go, you're suing him? I said, yeah. All right. I could not wait to talk to Joe Theismann because I did something for a friend of his. And he's going to love this. Okay? Before I bring Joe Theismann up here. Now, August 31st, it's UM versus Notre Dame. How you doing? I'm ready to roll on that bad puppy. But I told my friend, I'm getting Joe Theismann on today, and he's watching right now. And you know what I did? I said, Terry Hanratty, since I vote for the College Football Hall of Fame, you get my vote. He lives in Connecticut in New Canaan. And now I don't know if Joe followed him or Terry was there before him. So let's bring in the former NFL MVP and Notre Dame alum himself, our friend, Joe Theismann. Joe, now, I said to Terry, I go, I'm getting Theismann on. And I go, by the way, I got a surprise for you. I gave him my vote. And I don't know if he gets in, but I gave him my vote for the College Football Hall of Fame because I think it's well overdue. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he won a national title. And so I thought for sure, and I know he played with the Steelers and all, but was he before you or after you?
Actually, Terry was ahead of me. Hi, Danny. How are you? Good to catch up.
You bet, my friend.
Hey, yeah, Dan, Terry. Terry got hurt in practice his senior year. The last 3 games of the season didn't play. I wound up starting. That was my sophomore year, so I played with Terry. Matter of fact, it was Coley O'Brien, Bob Belden, Terry Hanratty, and myself were the 4 quarterbacks, and I was the sophomore, and those 3 guys were seniors.
Man, hey, so you have a national title ring, right?
No, I was the meat between a sandwich. They won in 66 and they won in 72. And so I wound up when I was in school from 67 to 71.
What was the difference on being coached by Parsegian and Joe Gibbs? I mean, was there similarities?
Well, no, because Era really didn't do the offensive coordination like Joe did.
Huh.
Era called plays, but Tom, we had different coaches basically that Tom Pagna was one, as a matter of fact, who was the offensive coordinator. And so he would put all the plays in, and Era would stand on a tower, about a 20-foot tower, and he would watch both offense and defense on either side of that tower. We would go against the second team defense, and our first team defense would go against the second team offense. And Era just really ran everything from up high, I guess you could say. He was above everything. It scared the living daylights out of me. Sometimes somebody would come to say, "Hey, coach wants to see you." You go, "Oh God, what did I do?" You know that feeling. What did I do?
Oh no.
What did I do? What did I do? So as it turns out, I wound up not doing anything. He just wanted to check and see how mom and dad were. Wanted to see how I was doing in school. But I love playing for Era.
Boy, I loved him too because he used.
And then, by the way, also Dan, thank you for voting for Terry because he gets into the College Football Hall of Fame, and I agree with you. It was long overdue. He and Jim Seymour were a great combination back in the the early 70s, late 60s. And Terry was a Heisman Trophy candidate at that time. And before he got hurt, we had 3 games to go. He got hurt in practice, and Era looked at me and he said, "You're in." And it's a defining moment in my life because you have the opportunity now to be the starting quarterback at the University of Notre Dame. Can you handle the task?
Yeah.
Can you be a sophomore with a whole bunch of seniors and be able to lead the football team? And so it was really the first big test I had as in leadership, and also as far as a skill set goes, to be able to play the game.
I never asked you these questions before, and I asked Eric Dickerson this question. I go, did you enjoy playing on Saturdays or Sundays most? And believe it or not, Eric said he enjoyed playing on Saturdays more when he was at SMU because he just enjoyed the college atmosphere. He enjoyed playing for Ron Myers and those guys. And, he said it was just, I just loved playing in college. I mean, for you, did you enjoy the pros more? Did you enjoy your experience at Notre Dame?
Well, that is one tough question. I can tell you now, the young people in college today do not enjoy it as much as we did because they're professional athletes now. So, and it changes the whole dynamic of the game. But I love Saturday afternoon. We used to stay at the monastery, St. Joe, across the lake at the university. We'd go to mass in the morning. We go to breakfast. Then we, get dressed, go back to our dorms for a little while, and then head for the stadium. We had the routine. And, as a professional, I was so blessed to be able to play in Washington in front of those fans. It made the experience incredible. And I think, and it was the same thing at the University of Notre Dame. I mean, the band was in one section, the student body was in another. We go running out of that tunnel, and there were a lot more games at the professional level than there were at the collegiate level. But I would say it's very difficult for me to choose between the two. I loved playing the game in front of the people I had an opportunity to play for, and also loved the opportunity to play with the guys I played with.
I'll ask you this one too, this last one. Then I want to get to some Commander combo here, but for you, your journey was unconventional to say the least to get to where you became a Super Bowl champion and an NFL MVP. I mean, don't you think that experience at Notre Dame, going through playing such, and again, not that Notre Dame's not big time right now, because of course it is, but I think when you played during that era, the greatest players in the country, if you got a scholarship offer to go play at Notre Dame, those aren't handed out like they are today, like library cards. I mean, that's a big time deal back in the day to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Not, like I said, not dismissing the kids there now. I'm not doing that at all. But I mean, don't you think that helped you and your, people telling you and not believing in you at first, and all of a sudden you get to Joe and you get to Washington? That journey had to play a big factor in your success.
Oh, it did, Dan. It certainly did. It taught me an awful lot. I learned an awful lot at the university. I learned from the coaches, and then having a chance to play and start. And you're really always, the attention is always on the university. And if you're a quarterback at a university, the attention is on you. And how do you handle it? Roger Baldessari was our public relations director. And Roger really helped me tremendously from a media standpoint. Taught me how to talk to the media, explain things that I should say, explain things I shouldn't say. Emphasized how you conducted yourself. Those were all things that he stressed to me when I was there at the university. And certainly playing at Notre Dame under that microscope certainly gets you ready for professional ball. And I absolutely love playing at the university. I still love going back and walking around and just looking at the campus. It's grown tremendously, but it still has a small time feel. Because people will say to me, well, where'd you go to school? I said, I went to a small school in the Midwest called the University of Notre Dame. Everybody laughs, but we roughly have a little over 10,000 students only now. When I was there, it was like 7,200 students. It was all male. It was all, and St. Mary's was across the street if you found a girl to go on a date with. But it wasn't a big university, but what an incredible group of people that go there even today. I'm amazed at what they're able to accomplish. And congratulations to all of our women's sports. Our ladies are something else. I mean, they are just phenomenal, whether it's soccer, field hockey, basketball, it doesn't matter. They excel in every aspect of athletics at the university.
I enjoyed getting a recruiting trip there, and I enjoyed playing there.
Why didn't you go? My turn to ask a question.
Well, Jerry Fouts was a high school coach, and I was like, and I've amended men's with him because, we beat Notre Dame his last game 58-7, and Era wasn't very happy with us at the end of that because, I mean, you had come out of, I think, Coach Devine, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And I was recruited by Coach Devine. I would have played for him. I went to a Catholic high school. So I was going to go. I mean, but then, Jerry, and the whole thing from Moeller, and I don't know. I mean, I was recruited by Earl Bruce to go play at Ohio State too. And
right.
I don't know. Believe me, my nuns were not very happy that I did not go to Notre Dame. I can tell you that.
It's interesting. Obviously, you explained why. When I made a trip to the University of Notre Dame, I'd already signed at North Carolina State University.
Huh. Wow.
See, I'd signed at North Carolina State, and Notre Dame invited me out and said, we'd like you to make a trip out. I said, well, I've already signed. So, well, we're an independent school. And back then, if you signed and changed schools, you'd lose a year of eligibility. But because Notre Dame was an independent, if I changed my mind and went to Notre Dame, I wouldn't lose the eligibility. So I flew out. As a matter of fact, I just saw Rocky Blyer this weekend, who was my chaperone.
Love
there. And so I just saw him at the show we did here in Washington on Saturday. And so, we're going through the university, and I go out to the Rock, and they brought in a bunch of athletes. We weren't recruited specifically for positions as much as we were the athletes.
Huh.
So I wind up flying back to New Jersey. I get off the plane. My dad says, what do you think? I said, I have to go to Notre Dame.
Oh.
He said, why? I said, Dad, it just feels right. And I contend this, Dan, that if we trusted our gut with decisions, we'd probably be right with a higher percentage than if we sat down and did all the analytics and all the studying and all the mental exercises that we do to try and figure out why we do things. Right? Basically, I went to Notre Dame because I trusted my gut. It just felt right.
I chose Miami because of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
And Jimmy just made me he goes, listen, I'm going to carve it out for you. You're going to have to walk it though. You want to get there? You want to get drafted? You want to go high? I'm going to carve the road out, but you have to walk the road.
That's great.
And so
great advice.
And so that's how the whole thing got with me going to the University of Miami. So let me ask you about the Commanders. I'm picking you to win the NFC East this year, and I'm a show in Philly. So not going over very well for me, but I will tell you this. I believe in what you're doing. I mean, I think they're – well, here, let me lead it to you. How good do you think they'll be this year?
I think they can be better than they were a year ago because you didn't know really what you had. I mean, every game was a different adventure for them. I think they'll be better, but there's a couple of things that you have to take into consideration. The last 5 games of the regular season were all nail biters for this team last year. They won them, but it was, the overtime against Philadelphia, a field goal late, hitting a crossbar. I mean, there were so many different things that played out in our favor a year ago. And also the schedule's a whole different. I mean, you get the Detroit, you get the Kansas City Chiefs, you get the Detroit Lions, you get the Denver Broncos. You travel to Madrid, which I'm going to be on that trip, to play the Miami Dolphins in November. And then you got to think with Russell Wilson, the Giants are going to be more competitive. Philadelphia, is going to be more competitive. We gave them better games than Kansas City did in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
It's the rivalry. And the Dallas Cowboys, you just don't know. You're assuming, Dak's going to be back playing ball, and, Micah's, they'll probably wind up figuring out a way to get him some money to stay. And they're still a formidable opponent and, a hated rival. So, I mean, in the division, and they finished the division, they go Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles, the last 4 games. So, it's unique what the National Football League has done, and I'm delighted the way they set it up. They make every game of the season from 1 to 18 interesting and exciting. But I think this football team, are they going to win as many games? It's going to be hard to say. The big thing is keeping people healthy. Jayden has to stay healthy. They need to sign Terry McLaurin. I think there's There's no doubt in my mind that he needs to be signed. His value is greater than just his athleticism, his leadership, the type of a person he is, his presence in the locker room. They all account for something. And you know that. I mean, the locker room is a very sacred place at our level. It's a sacred place at any professional level. And even a collegiate level, even though there's so many. But at the professional level in particular, because you're there so long, so often, so much around the same people. And it truly becomes a family. And Terry is one of the main members of that family in Washington.
How good is he? Can I make a comparison? Maybe you're going to go, no way. But Art Monk was kind of unassuming. He was like quiet, it seemed to me. And, he just went about his business. So like a Marvin Harrison, somebody who just like goes about their business. You look up and you're like, holy cow, he's got 97 catches for 1,300 yards. Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, where is this? When you look at Terry McLaurin, I mean, I hate to throw top 10 at you here, but where do you look at him in the NFL when it comes to the elite wide receivers in the game today?
Top 5. I put him in the top 5. And I think your Marvin Harrison comparison is a great one. Doesn't miss a practice, doesn't miss a game, always showed up, always shows up. And, these are things that it's hard to really emphasize this as much as it should be, to have a guy show up and work as hard as he does. I mean, he's the first one in line when it comes to receivers. He's the hardest working guy. He stays late. He does everything you want from a great professional. And he's not good. He's great. He really is. And I put him in the top 5. I put him up against anybody in this game. Is he the fastest guy? No. But you know what? I don't see people catch him when he runs down the field. He gets the ball in his hands. I see these 4-3 corners not catch him. Jerry Rice, Jerry was that way.
Right.
Right. Jerry wasn't the fastest guy, but yet you put the ball in his hand and it's a whole different animal. And so, it's Terry is, I think your analogy is very, very good when it comes to comparing him to Marvin.
How about this one here? I talked to Doug Williams a couple days ago, and I'm glad to see what they did for Bobby Beathard. They named a part of the facility
the draft room.
Bobby Beathard, and I'm glad to see that. So let me lead you to Adam Peters and the job that you think he's done since he's been the general manager of the team. It seems that he's like really putting the pieces back together on what Washington used to look like by acquiring great talent, either through free agency or through the draft.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. I think the selections this year, each position where a player was selected with only 5 picks, I believe, but every one of those positions were either one where you needed depth or you needed somebody to play right away. I mean, I thought he did a terrific job of selecting the players that he wanted and the positions that he needed to fill. And he's been doing that. See, the other thing too is, Adam has something in his pocket that a lot of GMs don't have. He has a rookie quarterback. So you're not paying him 20% of your salary cap. He has the ability to identify and go get players. Having Bobby Wagner come back, I think, was so important. He understands the value of blending youth with veterans and experience. Adam really has a great handle on all of that, the way he wants to put this team together. And Dan's the same way. I mean, they walk lockstep. They really do. I mean, they understand what they want. Adam knows what he's looking for. The consistency that you saw in San Francisco was unbelievable where he came from. So, he understands how to build, and he understands what this team needs, and he can identify it. And not only do they go get the talent, but they get the right kind of people, because it's a long year, and things wear thin through the course of a year. And you don't see them pouting you don't see receivers pouting on the sidelines and reading books. And I still don't understand. That still escapes me to a large degree.
The A.J. Brown reading the book on the if you had a wide receiver do that to you and you walked off the field and there's your receiver reading War and Peace, I don't know, like the book of the club month kind of guy. I mean, there he is.
You know what I would do, Dan? First of all, I would take the book that he has away and give him mine, How to Be a Champion Every Day, and say, if you want to read something, read this one, okay?
Oh my God! That is so awesome, Joe. I mean, I didn't get the book thing either. I'm like,
I just, I mean, it's like I said, it's a different animal this year. They're different kinds of guys. Everybody has guys. Coaches let players do certain things, and it's not like it was when you and I played. It's a different world, but it's entertaining. Whatever guys need to do, to keep themselves in the game and get ready. I don't necessarily think that that's keeping yourself in the game when you're sitting on a bench reading a book while the game's going on. I don't quite get that, but hey, he's a terrific football player. He's an important part of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and congratulations to him. I thought that front four was as good a front four as I've ever seen, and I don't care who you are as a quarterback. When they can rush four and put pressure on you and drop seven, there's very few places that you can go with the football in a very short period of time. And by the way, before we have to part ways here, I want to talk about the American Century Golf Tournament that is coming up the 11th through the 13th in July, played in Lake Tahoe. The Kelsey brothers are there. And I think this was taking me sort of to Travis. I think Travis is going to have a terrific year. I know he's extremely disappointed in the way he played last year and the way the year went. I look for him to have a huge comeback year. I really do. He's going to be a man on a mission this year. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be there, and a newly minted Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback. Obviously Steph Curry's going to be able to play. Missed it last year. Marty Fish won it. Tony will be there. It happens July 11th through the 13th. And we have an aspect of it that is really neat. It's the fantasy football. If you go to ACC fantasyfootball.com, you have an opportunity to be able to select players from 5 different groups. You put your group together, and each day you can change players. You don't have to keep the same ones. If you win the first day on the 11th, you get 2 tickets to next year's tournament. You win the 12th, you get 2 tickets. If you win the overall, you wind up with a $10,000 check donated to the charity of your choice, and also 2 tickets to next year's tournament. And this is going to be my 35th out of the 36 that have been played. So I'm excited to get back out there and get ready to, try and learn to hit driver 3-wood. I don't have the length I had before, so now I have to modify my game. It's like being a quarterback. Okay, they changed the defense on me. Now I got to figure out another way to beat them.
I absolutely love that, Joe. And hey, one last question for you then. Okay, so for you, what is the one thing that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to guard against when you win a Super Bowl? Now, if I'm not mistaken, you guys beat the Dolphins, and then you lost to the Raiders.
Correct.
Because you went back. And that year, you guys won 14 games. Is that right? You won.
Yeah, we were 14-2 that year. Lost 2 games in 1983 by 2 points, 38-37 to the Green Bay Packers. I believe 34-33 to the Dallas Cowboys in the middle of the season. So yeah, we did well. I think the biggest thing is obviously complacency, but it's a shorter off season for them. So you have to be able to take care of your body and the training. And now you're doing it's 16, 17 games. So it's a little bit more of a strain. But I think staying focused and just, you're going to go through the ebbs and the flows. But I still think that, to me, offensive and defensive lines are the biggest difference in winning and losing in football. I think if they can keep their people healthy, they're going to be a load to deal with. And that was something in Washington. Nobody talked about our offensive line last year, which was a good thing, because normally they talk about them being bad, like, for example, what the Jets had to deal with. Not a whole lot of good things happening, so people talk about it. I think our guys did a heck of a job, as well as the D-line. But Philadelphia, I think, just has to guard against a little bit of complacency, a little bit of, you get into a close game and say, you know what, we won it last year, we can do it again. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't live on last year's performances. Every year is a new year. Every game is a new game. And so they have to be able to move forward that way. Still going to be tough to contend with, still a very talented football team. But I think this division all the way around has gotten a bit better. And I think we'll be going toe to toe with them this year in Washington.
And you bring up the point here, Joe, where, you had Riggins and the Hogs. They've got this old line, and they've got Barkley.
Yep.
You're afforded so much opportunity and play action and spreading the ball around and doing whatever when you're dominant at the physical point of attack like you guys were. And by the way, maybe your defensive line was underrated too. I mean, you guys had tremendous ball players on that side of the ball, and that was a forte of Bobby Beathard, building the lines.
But, Dan, this is something to think about. You're familiar with the giveaway takeaway ratio in football, right?
Absolutely.
Our 1983 football team, we were plus 43. Teams get to 18 and 19. If they're plus 18 or 19, you're probably playing championship nowadays. That's how good that football team was. We averaged almost 34 points a game. We took the ball away 3 times more per game than we gave away. I mean, it was an incredible football team. Coach Gibbs and the staff that he put together was incredible. I do want to say one thing about Aaron Rodgers, though. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a really good year. And the reason why is simply because he's not the assistant general manager like he was with the Jets. When he was with the Jets, he wanted this guy. He wanted that guy. And they'd go get a player for him, and they'd go get another player for him. Now he just gets to play football again. I remember this happening to Brett Favre a number of years ago, where, you wanted certain people and part of your mind was working on personnel. The other part was playing football. AR is going to be all football, all business year. Wouldn't be surprised if he winds up winning comeback player of the year.
Wow. Joe Theismann. By the way, how good's your golf game? You're going to be out there playing?
Dan, it's a beautiful day here. Lots of sunshine. I'm working on my short game. As a matter of fact, it's really funny.
What, in your office?
I called in an hour early, right? So I call in an hour early. Okay. The clock at the club was wrong. I was up there practicing. I'm going, oh crap. I got a show to do with Dan. I got to run back to the house. I get to the house. I'm sweaty as can be. And all of a sudden I'm an hour early. I'm thinking, I could have practiced putting a little bit more, but I love the game. I'm beyond passionate about it. I'm obsessive with it. I talk to my boys, Joe and Pat, all the time about it. We're always talking about the game of golf. I love it. I love playing the game. I love thinking about the game. I love trying to figure the game out. And, to me, when I get out there to the American Century Championship, one of my favorite things to do is to hit balls next to Annika Sorenstam, because she's just so smooth and so good. And I play in the Pro-Ams on the LPGA Tour with the ladies. And I'm telling you something, if you really want to help your game, watch them hit balls. Look at the tempo, look at the pace. And you think, everybody, you tend to look at the game of golf and you say, if I swing harder, it's going to go further. If I swing faster, it's going to go further. No, that's not the case. It's all tempo. And I learned so much from it. Annika's just a delight to be around.
Absolutely. I played in an event with her in Orlando. And man, I mean, you sit there and you're like this. She's hitting this thing 300 yards down the field. You're like, holy cow! In her one of her irons, it looks like somebody put a quarter in the middle of it. I go, what's that?
Isn't that amazing?
Is that a special club? She goes, no, that's where I hit the golf ball. I go, that's the golf ball where you hit all the time?
All the time.
It's remarkable. Joe, thank you for all your time. Always finding time for me. You are such a great friend. And I want to thank you again. You need me for anything, please never hesitate. Thank you again, my friend.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. And I want everybody to log on to accfantasygolf.com, pick your team together, pick from 5 different groups. And like I say, every day you can change, and good luck. And we'll see everybody out at the tournament. NBC, Peacock, and the Golf Channel is where we'll be.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you, my friend. Have a great 4th.
You got it, buddy. Bye-bye.
You got it. That is Joe Theismann. Always a great conversation with my friend. Man, absolutely awesome talking with Joe Theismann. I loved what he said. Oh, by the way, M. Reyes, how you doing? Top 5. Terry McLaurin. Damn. I don't know. Wait a second here. That's a NFL MVP. Terry McLaurin. Top 5. Damn. And then he's ripping on A.J. Brown for reading War and Peace on the sideline. Oh. All right. What's more realistic, Notre Dame winning a natty or Manti Te'o having a real girlfriend? Awesome cast. Oh, that's very funny, by the way. So, Terry McLaurin, Michael Irvin, top 5. I mean, Devontae Smith's better than that guy? I don't think so. And then he rips AJ for reading War and Peace. Oh, my God. What happened there? I'm just saying, man. Yes, everybody does believe that. The only people that don't are the ones in Philly, dude. I told you that. Terry McKee, dude. Oh, man. AJ, a champ, just like that old fart. Hey, I'm just saying, that old fart's got an MVP. He ain't MVP. He is an NFL National Football League most valuable player. Not even your boy Jaylen Hurts says that. Joe's a little biased. Really? What gave that away? That he's a Redskin? No. He's not biased. Thank you for that one. Hey, that's a real reach. Still's going to hold on to Terry forever. That's MVP. Terry stinks. Yes, sir. So rage baiting. Hey, by the way, I didn't say it. An NFL MVP said it. You know, an NFL MVP. You know, something a quarterback in your franchise's history has never done for a regular season. MVP. Look at this. Oh, boy. Terry stinks. Yeah. Terry's going to get $37 million probably from Washington. Okay. Man, do I like that. Terry McLaurin to Buffalo. Then you got to get rid of the coach. Okay. MVP. Well, Joe's a champion too, you know. He's good. All right. Good job today, fellas and gals. Wonderful day. I can't thank you enough. What a great week. And I believe, let's see, tomorrow, let's see if we can get Brian Westbrook on. What do you think? Would you guys like to see Brian Westbrook on? Terry, top 5 is laughable. Yeah, I know. Michael Irvin and a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl champion and NFL MVP think that McLaurin's a top 5 player. I know. It's all right. All right, Philly. 2 to 6, each and every single Monday through Friday. The only place you can catch Big Sills, where? Is right here. We will see you on the flip side.